Hello, everyone, and excellent morning to you. Welcome to Kakaaki, the African Voice on Africa Independent Television, AIT. I am Onosherena Obozegi, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you this Friday morning. Now, let's see what we have for you this morning. It probably comes as no surprise that the matter of the moment is the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the recognizing of the David Mark-led Executive Committee of Rising Opposition Party, African Democratic Congress, led by Senator David Mark and Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola. The electoral body says its decision follows a ruling by the Court of Appeal and ongoing litigation over the party's leadership. The Court of Appeal had directed the two warring factions of the party to maintain the status quo pending the determination of a substantive suit currently before the Federal High Court in Abuja. And INEC says it considered it wise to keep a distance from both parties until that time. But members of the faction loyal to David Mark seem to or not to agree with INEC, accusing it of deliberately using the legal issue to scuttle the ADC's 2027 election preparation to the advantage of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. That the national chairman addressed one on Thursday, where he called to conduct credible elections. Members of the Gombe faction and other political parties say Senator Mark's faction are crying over spilled milk, and there is nothing outward that INEC has done. This latest political controversy will engage our attention when we're joined by the Senator, Ita Enang. Senator Enang is Nigerian ambassador designate to South Africa and chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, APC. Now, to also weigh in on the matter is Right Honorable Chile Igbawo, two-time member of the House of Representatives from Benue State. He is a frontline member of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, and currently special advisor on research and strategy to Senator David Mark. We will also be joined by Simon Reeve. Simon Reeve is a political affairs analyst and, of course, as you know, he's one of our regular newspaper reviewers, and he will be bringing a journalist's perspective to the issue. Now, across Nigeria, a growing number of young people are leaving the country in search of better opportunities abroad, a trend popularly known as Japa syndrome. Economic hardship, unemployment, insecurity, and the desire for quality education are among the major factors pushing young Nigerians to seek greener pastures overseas. Unfortunately, and unknown to many of these migrants, the pastures abroad are not as green as they sound, as many in the past have been caught up in a web where things haven't gone according to plan abroad, and life is becoming probably harder than it was in Nigeria. But returning home also isn't an option. Aside the effects of the individual, experts warn of the serious implications for Nigeria's development, especially in the area of the brain drain of its professionals. This is probably most evident in the number of Nigerian doctors and other medical professionals plying their trade outside the shores of the country. This and other fallout from the Japa syndrome will engage our attention when we're joined by Dr. Dennis Akurege. Doctor is a New York-based Nigerian mental health management expert. He would be sharing his experience with us and be providing insight on the pros and cons of the Japa syndrome. Also on the show, we'll have Dr. Henry Ewunono, who is an Abuja-based health rights activist and former National Executive Council member of the Nigerian Medical Association of Nigeria. He will most likely be telling us why it pays to stay in Nigeria. And I tell you that it promises to be an interesting discussion this morning. Remember that you can be part of the program, and that will be by sending your views and your comments to all our social media platforms on Facebook, X, Instagram, and on YouTube. On YouTube, we are at Africa Independent TV. This is key because we'd like you to be up to date with the latest news from around the world. Talking about latest news, you will now join me on the World News Desk for Kakaaki World News.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
This is the World News on Kakaaki, the African Voice. You're welcome. A powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck the Molucca Sea near Indonesia's Ternate Island early on Thursday, causing casualties and widespread alarm. The tremor occurred at a depth of 35 kilometers and initially triggered tsunami warnings across several regions.
After being crushed by falling debris, while another person sustained injuries after jumping from a building. Indonesia's national agency reported additional structural damage and injuries, though full assessments are still ongoing. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center briefly issued alerts for coastal areas including Japan, the Philippines, and Papua New Guinea, warning of possible small waves. These warnings were lifted approximately 2 hours later after no significant tsunami activity was detected. Residents across affected areas described intense shaking, with many stating it was the strongest quake experienced in years. In cities like Manado and Bitong, panic spread quickly as people fled buildings and businesses experienced power outages. Emergency response teams were deployed to assess damage and assist affected communities, with reports showing destruction in public facilities, including a sports complex. Hospitals also initiated emergency evacuation procedures, relocating patients outdoors and into temporary treatment areas. At least 2 aftershocks measuring 5.5 and 5.2 followed the main quake, raising concerns about further seismic activities. Authorities continue to monitor the situation closely while urging residents to remain cautious in this highly active seismic region.
The United Kingdom has announced plans to convene a multinational meeting aimed at reopening the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz. Prime Minister Keir Starmer confirmed that discussions will involve representatives from 35 countries.
The virtual meeting, to be hosted by Foreign Secretary Verity Cooper, will explore diplomatic and political strategies to restore safe navigation in the region. The strait has been effectively closed amidst escalating conflicts involving Iran. The waterway is a critical global energy route with roughly 1/5 of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas passing through it. Its closure has triggered a surge in global energy prices and raised concerns about supply disruptions. Countries including France, Germany, Japan, and the Netherlands are expected to participate in the talks, reflecting widespread international concern. Many nations have already begun releasing strategic reserves to mitigate the impact of the disruption. Starmer acknowledged the complexity of reopening the strait, noting that military coordination may also be required after hostilities cease. Plans are underway to involve defense planners in securing safe passage for vessels. The initiative comes amid criticism from U.S. President Donald Trump, who has urged allies to take greater responsibility in addressing the crisis. The outcome of the talks could play a crucial role in stabilizing global energy markets.
Masoud Pezeshkian has appealed directly to the American public, urging them to scrutinize the motivations behind the ongoing U.S.-Israeli conflict with Iran. His message, delivered through an open letter shared by the state media, challenges prevailing narratives surrounding the war.
The Iranian president questioned whether the policies of President Donald Trump truly reflect the interests of ordinary Americans amid escalating military actions. He raised concerns about the broader consequences of the conflict, particularly its impact on global perceptions of the United States. The Iranian leader highlighted recent attacks on Iranian infrastructure, including energy and industrial facilities, describing them as harmful to civilians and destabilizing beyond national borders. He emphasized that such actions contribute to prolonged tensions and deepen cycles of hostility. He also rejected portrayals of Iran as a regional threat, noting that previous strikes occurred during ongoing nuclear negotiations. He referenced earlier confrontations, including a 12-day conflict involving Israel and brief U.S. participation, as well as renewed hostilities earlier this year. The letter followed renewed threats from Trump, who warned of intensified military actions unless key maritime routes were reopened. U.S. claims that Iran had sought a ceasefire were denied by Iranian officials, further fueling conflicting narratives. Amid this backdrop, the Iranian leader stressed his country's right to self-defense, while maintaining no hostility towards the American people. He also suggested that external influence, particularly from Israel, may have shaped U.S. involvement in the conflict.
And the United States has removed sanctions on Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, signaling a shift in diplomatic relations. The decision was confirmed through an update to the Treasury Department's sanctions list. Rodriguez had been on the sanctions since 2018, which restricted her financial dealings in assets in the U.S. Her removal reflects evolving political dynamics following the ousting of Nicolas Maduro. The development comes after Maduro's capture during a U.S. military operation earlier this year. He and his wife, Celia Flores, remain in the U.S. custody, awaiting trial on multiple charges. Rodriguez has since taken steps to improve relations with Washington while introducing economic reforms. These include opening Venezuela's oil and mining sectors to foreign investment. Critics have questioned the legitimacy of recent political changes and U.S. involvement in Venezuela's leadership transition. Concerns persist over human rights conditions despite the policy shift. The reopening of the U.S. Embassy in Caracas marks another sign of renewed engagement. Observers note that the situation remains complex as geopolitical interests continue to shape development. The Supreme Court of the United States has signaled skepticism towards President Donald Trump's executive order seeking to limit birthright citizenship. The case could determine the future of a key pillar to U.S. immigration policy. During oral argument, a majority of justices appeared unconvinced by the administration's claim that children of undocumented immigrants should not automatically receive citizenship. The debate focused heavily on interpretations of the 14th Amendment. Chief Justice John Roberts questioned the extent of presidential authority in redefining constitutional rights, while Justice Elena Kagan highlighted the long-standing legal tradition supporting birthright citizenship. The court also revisited the 1898 President of United States v. Wong Kimak. Trump attended the session in person, underscoring the significance of the case to his broader immigration agenda. A ruling against the administration would mark another legal setback following a recent decision overturning his tariff policies. Legal experts suggest the court may avoid a sweeping constitutional ruling by focusing instead on statutory grounds tied to existing immigration laws. The outcome could either reinforce established precedent or redefine eligibility for citizenship in the United States. A final decision is expected in June, with implications that could reshape immigration policy and executive authority. The ruling will be closely watched both domestically and internationally, given its far-reaching consequences. Congressional Republicans have announced a plan to end the longest partial government shutdown in the U.S. history. The proposal aims to restore funding to key homeland security operations. The agreement involves splitting funding across two packages, covering the Department to Homeland Security separately from immigration enforcement agencies. Republican leaders Mike Johnson and John Thune confirmed the deal after internal negotiations. The shutdown has caused significant disruptions, particularly at airports, where staff shortages led to long security delays. Transportation Security Administration workers faced delayed pay, prompting resignations and absenteeism. Democrats, led by Chuck Schumer, have pushed for immigration reforms as a condition for approving funding. The dispute intensified following deadly protests linked to immigration enforcement operations. President Donald Trump has urged Republicans to pass a comprehensive funding bill while bypassing legislative obstacles such as filibusters. The White House has expressed support for the current Republican-led approach, with funding stalled since mid-February. Agencies have struggled to maintain operations. Temporary measures have resumed some payment, but lawmakers face pressure to finalize a lasting resolution. NASA has successfully launched the Artemis 2 mission, sending astronauts on a historic journey around the moon. The mission represents the first crewed deep space flight in over 5 decades.
The spacecraft lifted off from the Kennedy Space Center aboard the Space Launch System rocket. The mission is a critical step in NASA's plan to establish a sustained human presence on the moon. Artemis II will not land on the lunar surface, but will orbit the moon during its 10-day mission. The crew will travel farther from Earth than any humans in modern spaceflight history. The mission is designed to test the Orion spacecraft systems under real deep space conditions. Engineers will evaluate life support, navigation, and communication capabilities during the flight. 4 astronauts, including 3 Americans and 1 Canadian, make up the crew after years of training. Their mission built on the success of Artemis I, which flew without astronauts in 2022. Despite earlier technical delays, NASA resolved all major issues before launch. The mission sets the stage for future lunar landings and eventual human exploration of Mars.
A tortoise named Jonathan, recognized as the world's oldest known land animal, has died at the estimated age of 193 on the island of St. Helena. His longtime veterinarian, Joe Hollands, confirmed the news, noting the animal passed successfully and peacefully.
Spacecraft lifted off from the Kennedy Space Center aboard the Space Launch System rocket.
Hatched around 1832, Jonathan lived through nearly 2 centuries of global history. He spent most of his life on St. Helena, residing at Plantation House, the official residence of the island's governor. Historical records suggest Jonathan was already fully grown when he arrived on the island in the 19th century. This indicates being about 50 years old at that time, supporting estimates of his remarkable lifespan. Throughout his life, Jonathan met several notable figures, including Queen Elizabeth II and members of the British royal family. He also received recognition from Guinness World Records as the oldest living land animal. Despite losing his sight and sense of smell in later years, Jonathan remained active and well cared for. His daily routine included hand feeding and time spent basking in the sun under careful supervision. His death marks the end of an extraordinary life that spanned generations and historical eras. Jonathan's legacy continues as a symbol of longevity and resilience admired around the world.
And to some stories around Nigeria now. Nigeria's House of Representatives has directed National Pension Commission to urgently engage all pension fund custodians and pension fund administrators handling NNPC-related funds and assets towards ensuring full compliance with regulatory directives within 24 hours. The resolution follows an interactive session of the House Technical Committee investigating NNPCL pension scheme led by Olaide Mohammed, who raised concerns over delays and alleged non-compliance by NNPC Pension Funds Limited with regulatory directives governing pension fund management in Nigeria. Mohammed, who represents Irepu Orelopo Olorun Shogo Federal Constituency of Oyo State, expressed dissatisfaction over the NNPC Pension Fund repeated requests for postponement of the investigative hearing despite a 2-week deadline given to the committee to submit its report. In its presentation, PENCOM revealed that while the NNPC Pension Fund Limited has made some progress, including payment of pensioners through pension fund administrators, it has failed to comply with several other critical directives, explaining that it initially granted approval to NNPC Pension Fund Limited to manage pension processes, but the entity was not issued a full operational license. The Commission noted that persistent violations of its guidelines led to the withdrawal of that approval, effectively rendering continued operations by the fund manager irregular, but disclosed that funds for March 2026 had been successfully disbursed to pensioners through PFAs based on report from relevant custodian. The technical committee described the absence of both NNPC Pension Fund Limited and Premium Pension Limited at the hearing as a setback to the investigation, calling for their appearance at the next adjourned date. As Nigeria edges closer to the 2027 general elections, the spotlight is once again on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. And for many Nigerians, it's not a flattering one, with memories of the 2023 elections still lingering. A civic group, the Abuja School of Politics, is raising fresh concerns over INEC's plan to revalidate all registered voters. The civil rights group, at a briefing in Abuja, said that for ordinary Nigerians already anxious about what 2027 might bring, the idea of going through another round of voter verification feels like reopening old wounds.
The public trust level INEC and Nigeria's electoral system is very abysmal, and the Nigerian people are not confident that INEC will conduct free and fair elections in 2027. Even INEC leadership admits that the public trust level is very low. So there's a new leadership in INEC headed by Professor Joash Amopitan. Professor Joash Amopitan did not cause the failures of the past that led to deep loss of public trust in the electoral system and in INEC itself. But he has a responsibility to take actions that will rebuild trust and ensure a high level of voter participation in the upcoming elections.
The Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, has officially set the stage for the Nigeria Diaspora Economic Conference, NIDEC 2026, built to hold from August 13 to 15, 2026, and that will hold at the Apollo Convention Center, Toronto, Canada. The announcement was made at a press conference in Abuja by the chairman, CEO, NIDCOM, Abike Dabiri Erewa.
Describing the event as a landmark in diaspora engagement, Dabiri Erewa highlighted the strategic importance of transitioning from remittances for consumption to remittances for sustainable investment. She noted that Nigerians abroad contribute over $20 billion annually to the national economy, and NIDEC 2026 is designed to channel these resources and expertise into practical nation-building initiatives.
It is a structured, outcome-driven marketplace. We are focusing on high-impact sectors that are the engines of Nigeria's future growth.
The conference, which has its theme Invest Nigeria, Thrive Abroad, will serve as a structured platform for diaspora professionals, investors and entrepreneurs to explore high-impacted sectors essential for Nigeria's economic transformation, among others.
And the signing of memoranda of understanding that translates into jobs, technology transfer, and sustainable development by our diaspora to Nigeria.
The acting Nigeria High Commission to Canada, in his statement, said that plans are on the way to make the event memorable and impactful. NIDEC 2026 is expected to host government officials, investors, entrepreneurs, financial institutions, development partners, and diaspora professionals from across the globe. Sadiat Dusumu, AIT News, Abuja.
And religious leaders and stakeholders in Nigeria's HIV response are raising concern over declining awareness, persistent stigma, and shrinking funding for HIV/AIDS programs. They are now calling for urgent action to strengthen prevention, treatment, and community engagement in the country. And that's it on the World News on Kakaaki, the African Voice. Up next is Kakaaki Business.
Welcome to Kakaaki Business. Major central banks pointed to uncertainty linked to the war in the Middle East as they largely kept interest rates steady in March, with concerns over higher inflation and weaker growth clouding the global economic outlook. Policymakers across both developed and emerging markets struck a cautious tone, with most opting to hold rates or move only gradually as volatile oil prices and geopolitical risks complicated the path for monetary easing. The cautious stance was mostly expected, with JP Morgan saying mid-month that it will take time for central banks to recognize the magnitude of the oil price shock and assess its lasting impact. But forecasts will immediately bias towards higher inflation and lower growth. Initially, we expect uncertainty to promote caution against the backdrop of policy stances that are close to neutral in most countries. In developed markets, central banks overwhelmingly stood pat. Of 9 meetings in March, 8 resulted in unchanged rates, with Australia the only outlier, raising borrowing costs by 25 basis points. No major developed economy cut rates during this month, leaving the year-to-date balance at a modest 50 basis points of tightening through 2 hikes by Australia. The United States trade deficit widened in February as a rebound in import offsets strong growth in exports, which increased to a record high, potentially keeping trade on track to subtract from economic growth in the first quarter. The trade gap increased 4.9% to $57.3 billion. The Commerce Department Bureau of Economic Analysis and Census Bureau said on Thursday. Data for January was revised to show the deficit narrowing to $54.7 billion instead of $54.5 billion as previously estimated. Economists forecast the trade deficit rising to $61.0 billion in February. The BEA and Census Bureau are still catching up on data releases following last year's government shutdown. Trade data continues to be volatile amid shifting policy. And still in U.S., new application for unemployment benefit fell last week amid layoff, suggesting labor market conditions remain calm in March, though economists have warned that the prolonged war in the Middle East posed a downside risk. Initial claims for state unemployment benefit dropped 9,000 to a seasonally adjusted 202,000 for the week ended March 28. The Labor Department said on Thursday. Economists polled had forecast 212,000 claims for the latest week. Claims have moved in at 201,000 to 230,000 range this year, consistent with what economists describe as a low-hire labor market. They have blamed the labor market stagnation on lingering uncertainty caused by President Donald Trump's aggressive import tariff. Private non-farm payrolls have averaged growth of only 18,000 jobs per month in the 3 months through February. Brazil's industrial production rose 0.9% month-over-month in February 2026, beating forecasts of 0.7% and marking the second consecutive monthly gain. Expansion was broad-based, reaching most surveyed sectors. Motor vehicles, trailers, and bodies led gains at 6.8%, followed by coke and biofuels at 2.5%. Other strong performers include machinery and equipment at 6.8%, furniture at 7.2%, beverages at 3.4%, computer and electronic product at 3.1%, textile product at 4.4%, and maintenance and repair services at 3.4%. Extractive industries and food products also advanced at 1.1% and 0.8% respectively. Pharmaceutical and chemical products declined 5.5%, exerting the main downward pressure. Year-over-year, industry fell 0.4%, following a 0.2% advance in January. The International Air Transport Association released data for February 2026 global air cargo markets, showing African airlines saw a 21.0% year-on-year increase in demand for air cargo in February, the strongest rise of all regions. Capacity increased by 17.3% year-on-year. Globally, total demand measured in cargo tons kilometers, CTK, rose by 11.2% compared to February 2025 levels. Capacity, measured in available cargo tons kilometers, increased by 8.5% compared to February 2025. The global goods trade grew by 5.2% year-on-year in January. Jet fuel prices rose 1.2% year-on-year in February, while a widening Brent jet fuel crack spread highlighted continued volatility in refining margins. The Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has challenged African governments to implement bold reforms aimed at reducing the cost of doing business across the continent. Speaking at a fireside chat during the Nigerian Economic Society 2026 Economic Outlook, themed From Adjustment Pain to Consolidation Gains, she warned that failure to get the microeconomic fundamentals right remain a major policy misstep by many African countries.
I think one policy mistake is not getting our macroeconomic fundamentals right. Seriously, even for trade. You know, you can't make trade work for you if your macroeconomic management is wrong, is not right. The second one is costs. We are not paying attention to how costly it is to do business in our countries. And some of it is within reach of, being able, even simple things like goods crossing borders. We can do it. People can just, visas, keeping trucks waiting at the borders for 3 or 4 days whilst you try to clear their goods. So some of these costs are within our own power. The other ones will take time, like the infrastructure.
Okonjo-Iweala also lamented poor connectivity across Africa, describing it as a costly barrier to growth and competitiveness. She stressed the urgent need to close the gaps in intra-African trade to unlock the continental's full economic potential.
Direct transport from a friend to get me here, and it would have taken me 8 hours. So what's that? So we are living it. It's not a dream. I'm not making it up. How can we function if we can't even connect with each other? So it's as fundamental as that. And I'm getting very agitated because I'm getting older. I want this thing to improve before I'm in my grave. Thank you.
As Africa navigates a critical phase of economic recovery and reform, experts say addressing structural inefficiencies from infrastructure deficits to policy inconsistencies will be key to transforming short-term adjustment pains into long-term inclusive growth. And that's Kakaaki Business. Good morning.
All right, thank you so much. Up next on Kakaaki, the African Voice, is Kakaaki Sport. And Sembe Shima, the Benue girl, is standing by.
All right, thank you very much, Rena, the Edo girl. I don't know why that is, but it's quite funny when I hear that. Well, thank you very much, Rena, and welcome to Kakaaki Sports. It's the Friday edition of the show right here on AIT. And it's good to be here. Thank God it's Friday, like we always say, indeed. So much to discuss in the world of sports as always. And this morning, we'll be looking at, of course, the unveiling announced by CAF, talking about the African Nations League and the total transformation of continental football going forward. And also, we touch on, of course, the FIFA rankings. Yes, just recently released FIFA ranking by FIFA and what it means for African teams, or where this places African teams in that ranking. And if time permits as well, we'll also look at the World Cup teams, as we now have the complete 48 teams that will be participating in the 23rd edition of the World Cup. That's the 2026 World Cup coming up in Mexico, Canada, and USA. So, I mean, so much discussed in the world of sport, and I'm not going to be doing that alone this morning. And then also we'll touch on league football, of course. So just stay tuned, because I'll not be doing that alone this morning. I have joining me live now via Zoom my guest, Olamilekon Omoboye. Olamilekon, good morning. Welcome to Kakaaki Sports.
Good morning, Brenda. It's nice to be on Kakaaki Sport again.
All right. Quickly, Olamilekon, let's start with just recent announcement announced by CAF, made by CAF, rather, concerning the rejig of African continental football, beginning, of course, with the introducing of African Nations League, Pan-African Championship, and also expanding AFCON from 24 teams to 28 teams. Your thoughts on this recent announcement and this recent transformation that is lined up for CAF, for the continent of Africa? Do you think this is a move in the right direction for African football? Or perhaps we should have given it more time before getting here again?
The Patrice Motsepe-led administration has been one that has been, solid about reformations. And according to Patrice Motsepe, part of the ways we've been doing things in Africa here has not, been heavily funding dependent or funding motivated. So according to him, now a lot of reforms are being made to ensure that, there's better funding and better funding. So according to him, is making and creating a more viable, environment. According to him, the competitions we've had before are not self-sustainable, and there's been a lot that has had to go into it. So Motsepe has seen a lot of transformation, happen, but I don't think everyone has, the same thoughts and the same mindsets. I personally am very skeptical about some of these decisions. Like, a lot of changes are happening to African football in a very short
period,
time. Yeah, we are not, the change itself, change is constant. We want to change. We want to see things happen, but it's happening like quite so fast, and a lot of things that we know or things we used to know are now scrapped. For example, the CHAN competition is now totally abolished. A competition that gave home-based players a pathway, to also
showcase their talents,
shine on the continent. Yeah. So a lot of things are happening fast, and I hope this is not a decision just like the African Super League or the African Super League that we had, where we had only one edition and there was a lot of money also, but at the end of the day, they've not been able to replicate that. So I think I want to hope that this is not another another fast thought that is going to go down the drain in no time. But we'll be waiting to see how all of this turns out or plays out.
All right, hopefully that, like you rightly said, I was smiling when you said that, because, we don't want to start something that we will not finish. Let's start something that we will see through to a long term, and perhaps continuous process. But now let's move away from, of course, CAF decision. Hopefully that comes to stay, and we all enjoy that. Okay, see our African players display their talents, global, international, local players all come together, display their talents, and have opportunities to show their talent as well. But now, talking about African teams, I'm still CAF. Now let's look at take a look at the teams that are participating in this year's FIFA World Cup. 10 African teams. I mean, I feel like some of these decisions have spurred Musepe, some of this achievement rather, spurred Musepe into, you know, looking at improving African football. 10 teams for the first time in African history will participate in the 2026 FIFA World Cup. What do you think this means for African football moving forward? Is this perhaps the time that Africa will shine? Because 10 teams, I mean, you can't go there and not come back with anything, as said by so many.
So it's an expanded World Cup format, and we're having 10 teams. I don't want to be a prophet of doom, but if we don't get our onions right, if we don't do the right things, we can have 10 teams and still come back empty-handed. In fact, it is very possible. It is very possible. So, but I'm very happy for the 10 teams. I'm happy for Congo, especially 52 years since the last appeared at the World Cup. A lot of people might say it's the back door. Nigerian fans will not mind being in this position, I mean. But then Congo got the 10th ticket through the play of sports, and I'm very happy for them. I'm also happy for Cape Verde. The improvements in their football in a very short while has been very impressive. For me, it is more about what these African teams have been able to do. I have said it quite a number of times. Nigeria has not been able to, replicate success in the sense that, we've always applied a fire brigade approach, no specific structure, no specific direction. But when you look at some of these countries, they've been able to replicate success starting from their under-17 to their under-20s to their, national team level. And you see that they are progressively improving. We saw what Morocco, went to the last World Cup and got to the semi-final. When people hear of African teams prior to now, they see them as pushovers, round of 16 teams. But Morocco has been able to, show that, we can do way better. And, since we last saw the Ghanaian team, that went and played against Uruguay in the quarterfinals, almost got to the semi-finals, we've not seen another African team challenge like that. And Morocco is, pushing and punching above that with Senegal is also, putting forward a team that is so dauntless and daring. So, I mean, I'm happy for these teams, but if they don't do their job right, most of them will be trashed. But I'm happy for some of these teams and what they've been able to do in recent times, yeah.
All right, so talking about the teams now, we have them there, right? 10 African teams participating, and DR Congo made it that number on Wednesday when they defeated Jamaica 1-0 to pick the final ticket for Africa, and one of the tickets, the 2 tickets that were left for the FIFA World Cup. So it is 10 teams for African continent going into the 2026 World Cup. But now the big question, like Boye said, would they be coming back home with at least something? That is what we're about to find out. July is just around the corner, and we'll be getting into all of that. But now, still talking about African teams, FIFA just recently released their latest ranking, and we've seen a little bit of surprise precisely for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, who would not be at the World Cup. I mean, standing there in 3rd place as the 3rd best team on the continent, and moving up to the FIFA rankings. Your thoughts on the rankings, and what do you think Morocco there in 1st place, Senegal, and then Super Eagles of Nigeria? Let's start with that.
So with the FIFA ranking, it is almost just like your CGPA in school. It is cumulative. Yeah. It is not something that would easily, that would take a heavy fall. Just like that. You can also just rise like that. So Morocco are here because, like I said, they've consistently churned out results. The last World Cup they went and they, got that semi-final position. Yeah, we've seen them also at the AFCON. They went all the way to the finals, and now CAF has declared them winners. So it is like a cumulative thing. Senegal has been on a steady rise since about 2017-15 thereabouts, and that is why they are there. I mean, this drop is possibly just because of their recent results in the qualifiers, because they are dropping to 14th. Nigeria, however, is retaining 26th, but I expect that when the next ranking after the World Cup drops, Nigeria when most of these teams have been able, so I predict a further drop, probably drop below Egypt or below Algeria. Most likely. Yeah.
Hopefully Nigeria will get to. I want to say I rebuke you, but hopefully Nigeria will keep. Nigeria will definitely drop, because I mean you're not going to be at the World Cup. It's just these rankings are based on the performance, recent performance. But after the World Cup, like you said, we expect to see a shift on that rankings as regards to African continent. But now let's talk league football. Of course, beginning with the Nigerian Women's Football League. I mean, matches went down on Wednesday, March day 13. We were on our sister station Rapa the other day, and we're saying there's going to be a shift on the table after March day 30, and it seems as though we predicted that happening, looking at the standing, and now it is happening. It has happened. Edo Queens goes top of the table, and then the Rivers Angels drop to third place. Quickly, your thoughts on the result and perhaps the standing going into as we wrap up the first stanza.
So, like, I'm not surprised. As I rightly said the other day, Edo Queens, although could not get the job done on the road, but they got their points. They got 1 point, and that keeps them, afloat on the table. My prediction still remains the same from the other day on radio. I see Edo Queens, retaining that spot. That group is actually very tough. I mean, the people, when you compare the quality in teams and also the combined titles won, NWFL titles won on that conference, compared to the other conference, then you know that the big guns are almost all in the other on the left side where Edo Queens are. But I still see Edo Queens easily dominating. And like I said, I still predict, Remo Stars, taking that spot and going on to the Super Six, and then we'll see how it all plays out from there. But yes, Edo Queens are definitely going to have a solid outing.
All right, indeed. Hopefully, the March day 13 is done and dusted. We'll see perhaps more changes as the time to wrap up the season. Talk the first stanza going into the playoff. But as it stands, to be Edo Queens, Rivers Angels, Bayelsa Angels, Bayelsa Queens in Group A, and of course FC Orobo, Remo Stars. You said it last time. Remo Stars have moved to second place, displacing National Amazons. And maybe we'll see, perhaps the last minute, we'll see a different change. But now let's also talk on the Nigerian Premier League, the Nigerian Football League. We know no matches played over the week, and then no matches we played this weekend. But quickly, the title race is looking interesting. And just one question for you as regards to the NPFL. Who do you think is taking it home this time?
Deep question. Rivers United are positioned to win the NPFL, but Rangers International are giving a very solid run. I want Rangers International to win. Second title in 3 years. Second title for Fidelis Ilichukwu he's been there for a very long time. But Rivers United are also doing, solid work with Yemi Olarewaju, Yema, and Fini the Judge. I'm here for the title race. I want to see an actual title race. Ikorodu City are lurking behind them, just about 2 points. 2 points in the mix there. But I want to see Rangers International and Rivers United there to head. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Boye, for your time and analysis. We'll see if that your prediction comes to pass. It's just March day 32, 6 months game left to be played. But thank you so much, Boye, for always coming on and share your thoughts and analysis on this sporting activities.
Welcome.
All right. All right, just before we go now, let's quickly bring the results and from the ongoing 2026 Edo FA Cup as they finished round 2 of the tournament. Yes, those are the results. As you can have it there now, Benin Warriors defeated Roli FC 4-2 on penalties to progress to the next round. And then Namo FA also lost to Westergate FC to lose out to progress to the next round. Ines Stars FC got the best of Assemblies FC for the next round. Al Haji FC showing dominance there. They've always been back-to-back since this FA Cup started. And then they got that 2-0 victory there against Living Voice FC. It's quite looking interesting right there in Edo State as the FA Cup continues to progress. I will be giving you updates as that event unfolds right there in Edo State, Benin City. But that's Kakaaki Sport this beautiful Friday morning. Thanks for being a part of it. I am Simbe Shima. Up next is the social intervention segment. Stay tuned.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get Fit in 60 Seconds with Jolly Phillips. Now, everyone has 60 seconds in every day to spare. So if you're ready, let's go! Hello again, my alphas, and as you can see, I have a max today because I'm working on the floor. We have 2 workouts, push-up, this is my push-up, and this is my child's pose. And your time starts now. Let's go, push up. Good, and child's pose. Now, notice my push up. I push my pelvis towards the floor every time I go back. Yes? Don't keep your bum in the air. No, that's not a push up. Press the pelvis down, push the chest to the floor, and sit back down. Let's go. Push. Child's pose. Push. Child's pose. Try and keep your palms in the same position every time. Don't move it. Here, we get to work our back, our chest, our abs. So many muscles in play here. Very good. How many seconds left? Come on, 20 seconds, push. Let's go. The child's pose is a very nice stretch for the shoulders. So it gives you a little bit of a break in that push-up, or from that push-up. You hear the time, and it's all over. Well done! I hope you had a great workout. Anyway, what I need you to do is to follow us on Instagram at Alpha Fitness Studios and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Alpha Fitness Studios, for free workout videos, free dance videos, sales and promos, and make sure you join us at the gym, Alpha Fitness Studios in Lekki Phase 1 next time you're in Lagos. So until the next time, bye-bye!
Hello, great people of Nigeria. Welcome to the Leadership Clinic. Today, I'll be speaking to you on what I've simply titled Leading Without a Title in a Government or Civil Society. The world over has produced great leaders who led without titles, who simply showed up with an idea, with a vision, and were able to pursue those visions. And at the end of the day, they grew so much influence. And with so much influence, their voices were heard. They became so powerful, from to the gentleman that they call Martin Luther King Jr. To Mahatma Gandhi of India. These are individuals who led without any government roles. They actually created influence by their actions and by their ideas. And at the end of the day, society began to respect them over time. Impact doesn't start with power. It starts with influence. So the point is this: master your craft. The moment you begin to master your craft, you are competent in what you do. You become so good in adding value to other people. You become so good in being compassionate towards other people, which means you become great first, then you start doing great things. In the process of that, what happens is that you start serving with excellence. As you serve with excellence, you are developing such an excellent personality, such an excellent person who has got value to add to society. Even small roles can spark transformation, as the case may be. And then in some other era, as you begin to speak truth to power wisely, integrity and courage elevate your leadership credibility. So the moment people begin to respect you because of the fact that when you start saying things, you say those things, you mean those things, you keep those things, and society begins to recognize you as somebody who will never lie for personal interest. They begin to recognize you as somebody who is influencing society. So you grow. Even without a title, you begin to make a difference. I've also seen people who occupy public positions. They have power, but they have never tapped into their power for influence. What it necessarily means is that they know they have power, but they first of all impact, influence. And at the end of the day, people follow them, not because of the position that they occupy, but because of the fact that they bring value to the table. And so at the end of the day, I want to ask you, you either do two things: grow your leadership influence and become so powerful that people will give you power, or you gain power, and even while you have power, you take down your authority, and guess what? And you lead with your influence, with the impact that you are making in the lives of people. And the moment you apply power, oh my God, you move to another realm of growth and productivity. Great people of Nigeria, you must remember, if a man doesn't have a purpose of waking up, sleeping becomes interesting.
Look up, wear a smile. Here comes Lady Etty, etiquette queen.
In a world where character, confidence, and social intelligence shape success, refinement becomes a powerful advantage. This is Etiquette with Etty, the inspirational pep talk series where renowned etiquette expert Lady Etty shares practical wisdom and transformational life lessons designed to help individuals navigate life with dignity, poise, and purpose. Welcome to Etiquette with Etty.
Have you ever noticed that some people walk into a room and without saying a word, everyone already respects them? It is not always about money or status. More often than not, it is refinement. Hello there, I'm Lady Etty, your preferred refinement pedagogue. And today, we're talking about why some people command respect instantly. Let me share 3 habits that command in the world. Yourself with composure. They speak clearly, calmly, and respectfully. Thirdly, show respect to everyone, from the executive to the security guard. True refinement reveals itself in how you treat people who cannot do anything for you. Remember this: respect is rarely demanded. It is quietly earned through character. When your presence reflects discipline, kindness, and grace, people will naturally treat you with respect. Remember to keep it elegant always. Thank you.
Today on Etiquette with Etty, Lady Etty reminds us that refinement is not just about how we appear, but about how we think, how we speak, and how we treat others. Because true elegance begins with character and is expressed through grace. To deepen your journey in etiquette, personal refinement, and social excellence, you are invited to join the programs and masterclasses at ETI Global Academy, where individuals are equipped with the skills and confidence to thrive in today's world. Follow Lady Etty at The Lady Etty and Etiquette Africa at Etiquette Africa across all social media platforms for more transformational life tips and upcoming events.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for being there, and welcome again if you're just joining us to the Friday edition of Kakaaki, the African Voice. This morning, we'd like to welcome Yenum, as I like to call him,
Tada.
to the show.
Yeah,
Tada!
yeah. Thank you so much, Rena.
How
Happy
are you?
Friday to you as well.
Oh, yeah, TJ.
So do you have any plans for the weekend?
I'm planless.
You're planless. Okay, we're both on the same page. It's time for us to look at what the dailies are saying. I'm sure there's so much information to check out this morning on the papers. But let me introduce our reviewers this morning. Emmanuel Aziken, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
And is your chance there? Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
All right, let's begin by looking at the pages of our newspapers this morning, beginning with Al Jazeera Friday. It says, withdrawal of recognition, ADC fires back, demands INEC leadership resignation. A quote there says, we no longer have confidence in them. We are convinced that they are incapable of conducting any credible elections. And the picture right there of Wike and Makinde, the caption says that Sheyi Makinde embracing FCT Minister Nyesom Wike amid moves to stabilize crisis, reading People Democratic Party ahead of 2027 elections. Interesting right there.
All right, now to the Authority newspaper. We have INEC chairman must resign. That's coming from the ADC. Doubts commission's fairness. That's it for the Authority.
And to the Daily Monitor, it says the listing of party's leadership, ADC demands sack of INEC boss. All national commissioners, says Amupiton, electoral body can no longer be trusted. And another story down there, we have a picture from the World Press Conference of that conversation yesterday. And we have this experience will not repeat itself. That's Tinubu assuring just attack victims at the visit yesterday.
To the Nigerian pilot, we have sack INEC chairman now. ADC demands, accuses Professor Amopitan of bias, unlawful actions.
And to the Daily Sun, it says ADC dares INEC. Leaders demand resignation of Electoral Commission's chair, national commissioners. Another writer says vows to proceed with Congress's convention as obedient movement plans nationwide protest. Oh, wow. Okay.
All right, now to the Leadership newspaper, we have ADC. Legal experts split over INEC's delisting of Mark Aregbesola. Amopitan must resign now, says ADC, page 4 of the Leadership newspaper.
We now go to this Nigeria. It says ADC, APC in verbal war over INEC party crisis. Umpire bias should resign, say opposition party. That's on page 2 of this Nigerian this morning. Another writer says, you are architect of your woes, APC. Amopitan has also responded saying, I won't quit. And then to Jos, we will find lasting solution to killing, says Tinubu in Jos. It's temporary setback, the state governor, Mufwang, is saying on page 4 of this Nigeria.
Now to the Observer's Times, we have Plateau killings. Tinubu orders 5,000 CCTV cameras installed at crime hotspots. Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shraibu, sends 850 elite troops to restore calm. That's page 1 of the Observer's Times.
And now to Daily Global, it says, Tinubu directs security chiefs to hunt Plateau attackers, orders 5,000 CCTV cameras. Chief of Army Staff deploys more troops to Plateau to curb rising tension. That's how Daily Global leads this morning.
To the blueprint, just attacks. Tinubu orders security agencies to hunt down killers, directs installation of 5,000 surveillance cameras. Army deploys additional 850 troops in Plateau. That's it for the blueprint.
Still same story. New Telegraph takes us this way. It says rising insecurity. Experience won't repeat itself. Tinubu vows of just killings, visit 22 Angwan Rukuba attack victims in JUTH, Jos University of Teaching Hospital, promises justice, lasting peace, orders surveillance cameras installation to track troublemakers, as it calls it.
To the Disclosure News, we have ADC to Tinubu. With over 30 governors, 90% of NAS members, what are you afraid of? That's a question from the Disclosure News. Says INEC confused and Mopiton not fit to conduct 2027 elections. Page 2 of the Disclosure News. And the Business NG as well, we have more than 50% of population in Kebbi, Jigawa, Sokoto faces severe poverty. That's the report, and that's our final paper for the day.
All right, so we'll come back here and introduce our analysts and reviewers to the conversation, beginning with politics that we have for Daily Monitor, Pilot, Authority, Al Jazeera, Nigerian News Direct, Daily Sun, This Nigerian Leadership, and a host of newspapers. It says ADC demands sack of INEC boss and commissioners. We'll start with you, sir. How would you review this?
Well, for me, that is the apparently coming from a position of anger and bitterness over the perception that the INEC is biased in its approach towards the issues in the party. Because the issues are quite clear that in the approach to forming the coalition, that the coalition leaders had negotiations with the former leadership of ADC as led by Mr. Chief Ralph Nwosu, and that culminated in the resignation, I think sometime in May, of all the members of the National Working Committee. And that was followed by the dissolution of the NEC. Each of them resigned. Each member of the NWC resigned. And subsequently, the National Executive Committee was dissolved, I think sometime in May. So following this, the communication was made to the INEC of the emergence of a caretaker committee as led by David Mark. So the issues are, so when this new, the former deputy national chairman, whose letter of resignation has been flying everywhere, now approached INEC or approached the courts seeking 3 months after he left office, after he supposedly resigned, approached the courts seeking to become the national acting chairman. People now began to wonder as to what is behind his move. And mark you, if somebody had, even if he didn't resign, if the NEC was dissolved, the NWC was dissolved, and the NEC dissolved, and this communication was made available to the INEC, which I think on September 9th recognized the new leadership and uploaded their names on its portal. So I think the issues were a little bit settled, and I think it was based on that the members of the ADC or the leadership felt they had every confidence, because even if this man didn't resign, that's Gombe. Even if he didn't resign, the NWC was dissolved. And INEC was present at that NEC meeting that took the resolution. So it's, people are alleging external forces as being behind this. So, and because why we wonder as to the
Do you think same?
Do I think same?
Yes.
I think the circumstances allude to it. First of all, while I have, to some degree, some confidence in the INEC chairman, which is now being put into doubt, but we know that he's not the only one. We know of a chief of staff to a Senate president, a former chief of staff becoming a member of the one of the national commissioners. So you see, INEC, people had raised issues as to the propriety of INEC conducting a free and fair election. So people are bothered. And mark you, the Court of Appeal said that the issues before the court should be taken back to status quo ante bellum.
Yeah,
so that means it should go back to where it was before you approach the courts. And that means the retention of the David Mark leadership. Gombe has not been able to say who is with me, who is with him in the supposed leadership of the NWC. So I said, mark you, I want to say that if the court has said go back to status quo, it means that the court infers that there should be a subsisting leadership for ADC. What INEC has now done is that they have left the ADC without a head, without a leadership, and which is worrisome.
All right, so going by what Emmanuel has said, that means there's a, should I say, misunderstanding of the court's ruling from INEC, and also looking at internal issues in terms of leadership. Isn't that majorly an internal issue where the party should solve on its own without INEC's interference?
That is where it will end to, or it will end at. Because even if you look at the litigations that has trailed the national conventions of the opposition People's Democratic Party, was it not the court advised that they should also go and handle their matters internally? And that led to the move where they started doing a sort of reconciliation. These things are political issues, political parties that should be sorted internally. I want to, despite the different interpretations, legal experts, including INEC, who now has a son as a chairman, is given to
Professor of law.
A professor of law, a son, that they are given to this appeal court ruling. I want to state here that when Professor Joash Amupitan was appointed by President Bola Tinubu, his appointment was greeted with a lot of thumb-ups, commendations. Nigerians believe that there could be a shift from the Mahmoud era, because I doubt if you mention the name of Mahmoud and the past, or his immediate, the immediate past INEC chairman he took over from, we all know how Nigerians will react. And we were thinking that the emergence of Professor Mupitan would return INEC to at least the Atahiru Jega era. But what we are seeing now is a bit contrary to the thought of Nigerians. We barely a few months to election. A very, very important election in this country. You are telling us that a political party that you have already recognized will now have no leadership. The implication of what INEC is doing now is that ADC will have no governorship candidate in Ondo State, in Osun State. They will have none in Ekiti. Is it Ekiti? They will have none. And if care is not taken, they will not present any candidate, assuming the case drags. I don't know how INEC thinks that this will work.
Because the ADC has its convention supposed for...
They have insisted that they will go ahead with their convention, their congresses and conventions.
And that's dangerous, because
that's very dangerous.
It will not be recognized.
And you see, when we are doing these things, when they are doing these things, they know that people are watching them from different sectors, from different departments, from even outside. You see, you can only beat a child, but you could not tell that child not to cry. That is what ADC is doing now. They are escalating the matter. They are calling on the international community to see what the government is doing. Like they asked, the battled chairman, former Senate President David Marks, asked, the APC as a party has 31 sitting governors out of 36 in this country. Every day, at both chambers, both the red and green chambers of the National Assembly, we are seeing, watching, reading defections. Even at the state level. I think going into the 2027 election, APC has a much stronger footing than even as an incumbent government, sitting on the country's treasury, sitting on I think they have a stronger strength to go into this election. All they need to do, like I have always said here, is your scorecard. Democracy is about what did you do for us that will make us believe in you. Play your scorecard.
And
you
APC,
have agencies.
Right. APC has also reacted to the ADC. He's saying that they didn't do the real arrangement. They just wanted to push aside
the National
existing structure.
Of APC,
Felix
Moka said that. But from what we are saying is, if this party and its leaders are being accused of, muzzling the opposition, we have seen what has happened in Labour Party. Few days before the coming of Amopitan, when Mahmoud handed over to Mayor Abamuche, Abamuche returned Abure, removed the other Nenadi, returned Abure. Before her emergence, Nenade was recognized. When she came on board, she removed Nenade, returned Abure. Few weeks after the emergence of Amopitan, Abure was removed. They now recognized both removal and recognitions. Both of them cited court ruling. How does INEC interpret these rulings?
All right, let's bring in some of our viewers right now from YouTube at Africa Independent TV. Victor Tahimba says, APC-led government is busy using some agencies and institutions as tools in fighting and dismantling the opposition parties, but cannot use the same muscles to fight the insurgency in the country. Hot Trends right now says APC and INEC are working hand in hand. Michael Movudu, INEC is APC and APC is INEC. Aboye Francis, APC is the one behind Bala Gombe. That's Nafiu. How can he avoid 3 senior advocates of Nigeria? Same process APC used with Alhaji Apapa for Labour Party, and we don't even know where he is right now. And finally, Abonyi Francis, okay, I have a comment from you. Yes, perhaps we should move on. Yes, Abonyi Francis says the INEC chair is not behaving like a prof of law. Why not wait for the judgment on the pending issues before removing ADC National Working Committee? Chooks, we want to go to our second conversation.
Yes, also this morning, we're looking at plateau killings. Tinubu orders 5,000 CCTV cameras installed at crime spot, orders security agents to hunt down killers. Observers Times, Daily Global, Daily Assets Blueprint, New Telegraph. Is that the right strategy needed to tackle this insecurity in Plateau State?
Well, I think the president has made a move. Otherwise, he had been quiet. Immediately after the killings, people, in fact, there were reactions even from outside before our presidency reacted, and with a vow.
I think his first reaction came in on Wednesday.
I think so, a day or 2 days after the killing. And he has now gone to Plateau State. But some people said he only stopped at the airport. While I will commend him for, first of all, taking that move initially, and also for the recommendations as concerning the procurement of equipment needed to track these persons, these bad guys. But then the optics of what he did is a little bit numbing, disheartening, that he went to the airport and that he didn't leave the airport. I think that to me is shocking. It's, he's comforter-in-chief. He's commander-in-chief and also comforter-in-chief. Because what we had was that those who were grieving, the grieving mothers, were brought from where they were grieving to come and meet him at the airport. And that, you know, the Bible says that you should visit the widows and the orphans in their afflictions. It's not them coming to visit you. It's not them. There must be empathy. And empathy should relay. Why I commend him for a little bit altering his trip to the south and to Lagos and to all that, but I think he should have moved beyond to meet with the people, to meet with them in their situations and circumstances. But for them coming to me, see, if he's going to commission infrastructure projects in Lagos, Ogun, and Bayelsa, these infrastructure projects do not resonate abroad. What people are hearing abroad is that there are killings in Nigeria. And this does not resonate to good governance or to even helping direct foreign investments. Because people who want to, what people are hearing of in Nigeria is killings. And these killings, the killers are not being apprehended. I think the president, more than anything, should have even slept over in Plateau, gone to those areas, met with the people directly involved. I think that would have been more empathic. That would have been more. In fact, the optics would have been better.
It looks like an antecedent. Now, you remember Benue State, the Yelawada killings the last time. The president has stopped at the city center, and he says that the reason was because the road to the crime scene was not accessible, is impassable. We had students laid on the roads to welcome him under the rain. We had our flyers designed campaigning ahead of 2027. And we only hoped that yesterday would not be a repeat of that, but as it stands, one of the trending clips right now from that visit is President Tinubu saying, "I'm leaving in 10 minutes. Your airport does not have light."
Rena, the president at Yelwata couldn't meet the people because the road was not passable, not so.
Right.
We should start clapping for them. Yes, it is the people that were being killed that were responsible for the road not being passable. Let's clap for them for that. And you look at the covers on papers today, dwelling on the Tinubu visit. This will not happen again. Who told you that it will not happen again? Who said that? Did the president not visit Yelwata? Is Benue not still in bondage? Did the president, did the terrorists not attack Niger? Were they not promised that it will not happen again? Okay. Has it not been repeating every day or every month? What of Borno State? Has it not been happening? Is it the first time they are attacking Plateau? What are we talking about? It cannot happen again. Says who? What have you put in place to make it not happen again? You have gone there, you are saying you are beefed up security. We only wait when they kill. We summon the security chiefs. The next thing is you ask them to relocate to the state or venue.
Marching order.
The marching order. The marching order, has it yielded any effect? No. We are talking about the president going to Plateau and settling at the airport. You can imagine that. It was in this country that a police IG was asked to go to a state where people are being killed, being murdered, where blood was flowing up and down. But the president told Nigerians that my IGP, I told him to go to Benue, he stopped at Nasarawa. And nothing has happened. And we are here talking about this thing will not happen again. Says who? We are even talking about president stopping at the airport. What of the state governor that went to address victims on a armored vehicle and decided not to come out? He was forced to come out. How would you want a president to address when the chief security officer was trying to address people from a tunnel, only raising his head? People are being killed every day, and there is no proactive move. You just wait. When blood flow, you visit and tell us this will not happen again. We are tired of all these rhetorics. Nigerians are not supposed to be killed like chicken. Is this the first time we are saying we are sending ammunitions, we are sending security? Everything will continue to repeat, day after day, month after month. All we are waiting for is, we have an already prepared press statement, condolence statement. When it happens, we issue it, and nothing, we continue with our normal this thing. People did not elect these people to just visit. They are elected to protect lives and property of Nigerians. Nigerians are under bondage.
Well, Oladapo here says he only had a stopover in Plateau State, not a commiseration visit. Another comment from Ibrahim says, naysayers in Pidgin, una no dey tire. Why do they have a governor? Do you know what it will take to enter Jos North? Now, going by that statement of Ibrahim, but in the past where the president has talked about how the buck stops at the president's table, but this person now is talking about the governor being responsible, having responsibility of that situation.
Well, I do not think the governor is chief security officer in name. But we do know that even in this country, that police officers have told governors to the face, I do not answer
responsible to you. Yes.
So we know that. So the governor, especially if you know Jos North, which is the epicenter of this, which was the epicenter of the crisis. It's, I don't know how to say, a hostile territory. So the governor going there, as it were, in a protective device, I do not really fault him in that respect. Because you cannot, because it could have been open to assassination or any other thing.
But people live there anyway.
No. But he's a target. The governor could be a target. The governor could be a target. So I will not really blame the governor because he has to be protected.
Okay.
But he already has his convoy armed and everything, and people will beg one life is more important than the other. But it looks like a good place to leave it. Well, as this Nigeria says, we will find lasting solution to killings, and is a temporary setback. Hopefully, it is temporary.
Because we should not move on like this. In Niger State, do you know that about 100 persons who were kidnapped more than months ago are still in detention? We have left them. Eh? Nigeria is not. This is not fair on Nigeria.
Nigeria is boiling. Kwara is boiling.
A youth copper was just released the day before yesterday, after months of incarceration by kidnappers.
It's unfortunate.
Thank you, Emmanuel Aziken and Eziocha Nze for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for the paper review. We'll take a short break and return with our first interview for today. Do stay with us.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live. The issues as they break. The multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
It's a serious threat to democracy.
And our government seem to be incapable of protecting.
The scheming.
This is not a period we should say bow and go. Every part of this country is important.
The intrigue.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection.
I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe it was for that reason politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. Focus Nigeria. It's a huge task, but we take it on.
Ask him where is the law.
National Assembly is not doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria. It is America that is doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria.
Monday to Friday on Focus Nigeria, we identify the nagging issues.
So people put people in poverty deliberate misplacement of priorities and brought people on their knees to suffer.
We seek answers to the tough challenges.
And because of
for the former president, what I know is that he has not turned his membership card. Has not been attending your meeting.
Leave that to us to deal.
There's no shying away from the issues.
The system is held accountable. The leaders are accountable for the funds, for the resources that they manage.
No sitting on the fence.
The same thing that made you live where you are may confront you.
Focus Nigeria, 10 a.m., Monday to Friday on AIT.
All right, thank you for staying with us and welcome back from that short break. Our first conversation, as we mentioned when the show started at 6 o'clock, we said we will be talking about ADC political crisis because probably it comes as no surprise that the matter of the moment is the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, of derecognizing the David Mark-led Executive Committee of Rising Opposition Party, African Democratic Congress, ADC, led by the former Senate President David Mark and Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola. Conversations happened from Wednesday, and then yesterday, the ADC reacted. So we have our guest this morning joining us in the studio to discuss ADC political crisis. We have Chile Igbanwa, special advisor to David Mark, two-time member of the House of Representatives. And we also have Simon Reef. newspaper columnist and member Nigerian Guild of Editors. Definitely you see him reviewing our papers every week. So we'll start with you. Honorable, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you, and good morning, viewers.
And Mr. Reef, thank you too, and welcome to the show.
Good to join you.
First question to Mr. Chile. The ADC is a party that looks as a formidable opposition to the APC, but that has come into question now with this move, by INEC. So can you let us know how the ADC got into this legal tussle with INEC?
Well, thank you very much. Maybe we start by saying that the legal tussle has been created by the APC and the Tinubu government. That's all I can say. What we have is that one nephew, Bala Gombe, who was a deputy chairman of the party at the time that the coalition adopted ADC as its platform. Now, in the course of negotiations for the adoption, it was agreed that the members of the National Working Committee would resign their appointments to pave way for the installation of a new, National Working Committee. And Nafiu Gombe, who was a deputy national chairman, also resigned his appointment. And I think that his letter of resignation is in the media, so it's of public knowledge. And then, on the 29th of July, the last NWC held its NEC meeting. At that NEC meeting, the first thing that was done by resolution was to dissolve the National Working Committee. So it means two things. Nafiu resigned. Nafiu was also among those who were dissolved by a properly made motion in the House, which was passed at the NEC meeting of the ADC. And that was by the regime, the last meeting at which the last regime, in which was a deputy chairman presided, the chairman, Raf, presided at that meeting. And like he said in his letter of resignation, he said he was still available for any responsibility in the ADC if offered.
Okay.
Now the process that when we now offer the places that were, they were zoned to the geopolitical zones. He comes from the northeast. And when the list of those to be reinstated came in, his name did not come. So it means the northeast did not find him suitable for an appointment at that time. It was at that time that he now decided to go to court. Now, when he went to the court of first instance, he wanted to have an order ex parte. That is to say, he did not want the people he sued, the David Mark-led NWC, to be put on notice. He just wanted the court to do it quietly. And the court said, no, this is a contentious matter. You don't grant ex parte motions when matters are contentious. So the request for ex parte motion is denied. We shall take this matter, and the David Mark-led NWC will enter a defense. Now the David Mark NWC now went on appeal against that decision, based on the fact that the Supreme Court, in a plethora of cases, has decided that the leadership issues of political parties are purely internal affairs of those political parties. And the feeling was that since that court did not have jurisdiction, there was no need attempting to take the matter on the merits. Now, the Court of Appeal remitted the case back to the High Court and said, we cannot deny the High Court from making a decision. They have not yet made a decision. Go back, let them make a decision. If you are not agreeable, you can come back. And the Court of Appeal, of course, say the matter should be expedited. As we speak, the High Court had not yet fixed a date for hearing of the case. Now, counsel to Nephew now wrote to INEC that by their own interpretation of the ruling of the Court of Appeal, which said they should maintain status quo ante bello, which means the position at which matters were before hostilities started. Get back to that point. Now, counsel to Nephew said, in their own interpretation, that the David Mark-led, NWC should not be there. Rather, he should be the one who should be instated. I should be put in the position and allowed to manage the affairs of the party. The fact is that he has never been a chairman of the party. He was a deputy chairman, and even by the provisions of the constitution of the ADC, he wasn't the deputy chairman who
So
would
you think
nominate
that INEC's decision to distance itself from ADC, it says that no congresses, they will not attend any of your meeting, even though you've insisted that you go ahead with your congress slated for later. Do you think that they are wrong in their decision?
Absolutely wrong. You cannot go to court and seize a matter that is pending before the court and come and make an administrative decision. If the matter were not, if we had reported the matter to INEC, it was being decided administratively, we could understand if they took a decision. But what happened is that INEC had been part of this process from the beginning. INEC had brokered an ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution, for ADC, when they had suspended some of their members. And the ADR said, go back, reinstate them, and when they reinstate you, you withdraw your case from the courts. When we met at the NEC on 29th of July, the first motion was to reinstate all those who were on suspension in compliance with the ADR, which we now filed with the Supreme Court. And we knew that it was just a matter of judicial pronouncement to conclude that case. So, Nephew is coming from nowhere. He has never been a chairman, and you cannot say that going back to status quo ante bellum means that he is a chairman. He has never been. ADC is not a new party. They have always had an administration. He was a deputy to Ralph also, who was a chairman, and that body is the one that resigned. And the process of their resignation followed due process. They held their NWC meetings, passed resolutions, took it to NEC. NEC approved the resolutions that they should resign to pave way for the takeover by the coalition.
That's a good place to hold it. Let's now come to you, Mr. Reef. What's your take in all of these that have been going on?
Well, I think in all of this, I have monitored what has happened in the ADC. And I think as far back as May last year, some of us thought that there was need for everything to be sorted out because ADC was to be formed as the platform for the Rainbow Coalition against the present administration in 2027. But again, to be factual, is one, when you have a situation where you have someone like Ralph Wosu, who was the chairman, he claimed to be the chairman. And there was also a court verdict that said his tenure had expired sometime in 2018 or so, and that there should be a new chairman. Because ADC then was more of a party that was not too active. So when that happened, and certain things did not go right, Dafi Gombe now came back to say, no, since he was the deputy national chairman, he ought to be given the chairmanship. Of course, later it came out that, he had resigned formally. I had thought that this letter of resignation that had trended in the last 1 week or 2 weeks, that should have been the time. They should have tendered that and show everything that everything had been taken care of.
Okay.
And not much was heard. Now, all these things stretch very long. Now, the desperation is, of course, the ADC seems to have its back on the wall because of time and because of a lot of things. So something needs to be done. As for the issue of whether the presidency or the government or the party is involved in what is happening, well, it could be everybody's opinion. If you have that opinion, it's okay. Because politics is all about intrigues. And if you are in power, there is nothing you won't do to ensure that you protect that. But all I'm saying is that the ADC itself, taking into consideration the circumstances of how it was transformed into a rainbow coalition for the opposition, it has its many issues it never resolved. People still believe that Raf was not the competent man to talk about the
handing over the leadership.
The handing over of the leadership, because one, he had already been declared not chairman as far back as 2018. So I think that is the issue.
Okay. Sorry, let me comment there. Let me as a follow-up.
Yeah.
When that 2018 matter came up, INEC advised ADC, we agreed that this tenure has come to an end. Do what you are required to do. Go and do your national convention. They went to Zaria, held their national convention in 2022. There is no dispute about that. Nobody is disputing that. Nephew was a member of the, RAF-led NWC up to May last year. Look, his letter says so, that he's resigning in May last year, 2025. So there's nothing about 2018. 2018 was because tenure finished. They held their convention in Zaria and elected most of them.
And Nafi not protested that.
He has not protested that.
That's what
he participated in all the negotiations, take over. And this is to the knowledge of
is a party action to the Section 3. No court in Nigeria shall entertain jurisdiction over any suit or matter pertaining to the internal affairs of a political party. Isn't this a political internal affairs?
Yeah, it is a political internal affair. But then you have a case now that INEC has said no. They have not recognized the leadership of the ADC.
Based on what exactly? What law allows INEC to de-recognize a party as the ADC that is recognized by law?
Well, I'm not a legal mind on that aspect, but all I'm telling you is, if ADC took the case to the appeal court, and the appeal court gave its verdict that they should go back to the status quo ante. Of course, some people were saying, okay, they should have allowed the MAC leadership to continue.
Okay.
But the man, being a professor of law, in his own wisdom said no. Both the nephew and MAC should simply go until the whole thing is resolved. I think it's a legal matter. So it should be approached legally.
Okay. Now, coming back to Honorable Chile, going by what Simon Reef has talked about, now that the ADC is here as it is, with so much accusations for the APC and INEC colluding together, which they have also denied, that's talking about the APC. What is the ADC's plan now to turn this situation around, to pacify other aggrieved members who have taken them to court to get this kind of injunction?
You see, when you say members is wrong, the case which involved more members had long been decided. All those who were suspended that were in court withdrew their cases because the ADR they had signed, which was brokered by INEC themselves. So the case is no longer there. Okay. The only person who was not reinstated was Kaichuku, who was the presidential candidate, because he has no position to which he could be reinstated. Nobody is contesting his position as the then presidential candidate. He has it for good. But what is at stake now is that the person who took the party to court is Nafiu Gombe. as a person and claiming his capacity as deputy national chairman. Now, even in the constitution of the party, ADC had 5 deputy national chairmen, and each of them had a portfolio. The one who is supposed to take over if the chairman is not there is not even Nafiu Gombe, because his portfolio did not place him as the one to take over. What he's claiming is that if every other deputy chairman resigned plus the chairman, he, as a surviving deputy chairman, should take over. He is not surviving, one, because he resigned. Secondly, he was among those NWC that was dissolved legally in a NEC meeting monitored by INEC. All these records are with INEC.
All right. So
we know it is mischief. And I want to say that a professor of law has no judicial jurisdiction. He's not a judge. I'm a lawyer. So I'm speaking from professional knowledge.
All right.
A professor of law teaches in the school.
We'll hold
now
it
he's
here.
the chairman of INEC. He's not a judge.
We'll hold it here. We'll continue the conversation. We'd like to observe a break because we have a third guest, Senator Ita Enang, Nigerian ambassador designate to South Africa, who will join us when we come back from the break. Stay with us, everyone.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live. The issues as they break. The multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
There is a serious threat to democracy, and our government seem to be incapable of protecting
the scheming.
This is not a period we should say bow and go.
Every part of this country is important.
The intrigue.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection. I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe in godfatherism in politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time.
Welcome back. You're still watching Kakaaki, the Africa Voice on AIT, and we have our third guest joining us to look at the ADC political crisis, which is Senator Ita Enang, Nigerian ambassador designate to South Africa. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Apologies.
Yeah. We've been looking at the ADC crisis. How do you see this current crisis with INEC and the removal of the leadership of the ADC?
I think I would want to latch on to what is generally accepted by every person. And what is accepted by every person is that this crisis or the position that ADC has found itself is self-inflicted. Okay. The position that PDP has found itself is self-inflicted. The position ADC has found itself is self-inflicted. I say that because the ADC is a gathering of all persons who had, one way or the other, contributed to the fainting of PDP. And PDP, having fainted, they went into a house that was in trouble with itself. And they went to inherit several problems in the ADC. When we were in the law school years ago, we were taught that if you buy a land from, I don't want to name the family, from a particular family in Lagos, you simply buy a lawsuit. Mm-hmm. So the ADC, the members and leaders of ADC went to buy a lawsuit. Now, I have looked at what they call the resignation letter of Nafiu Gombe. Okay. And I've looked at what is the resignation letter, purported resignation of other persons. It appears it was just a general circular printed on stencil. And each person, when you go, you just fill the name of any person, fill your address, fill your name, it's not signed. Now, I want to say that I won't speak for INEC, but Independent National Electoral Commission and the ADC and the general public in Nigeria, then the legal community, should learn from what happened in Zamfara State, where if you do not have a legally constituted executive of your party, you cannot file candidates in the election. The most recent one is the one that happened in Plateau State, where they all won election, and the court came and declared that either you did not contest, there was no legally recognizable executive to file you as candidate, or there was court order which you ought to have obeyed, even if it is from a district court. And if you did not obey and you went on to contest the election or to take any action against the court order, you are on your own and it will be set aside. I say that the ADC and PDP is self-inflicted because it is as if ADC and PDP, both of them are contesting. Either each party in each of the groups or blocks in each of the political parties are contesting as to who will earlier and earliest and fastest destroy their party. I say this because when you consider the problem of PDP today, the Turaki Tanimu is my friend. I was in the Senate when we confirmed him as a minister, and after that we maintained very close personal relationship. And I know he's a senior advocate of Nigeria. And a senior advocate of Nigeria, he knows, not that he ought to know, I emphasize, not that Turaki ought to know. Turaki knows that when there is a subsisting court order, you cannot take any action against it. But they went to act a convention in Ibadan and purport now that the court, that they should benefit from the proceeds of that convention. When he knows that ab initio, the action they took is illegal, they just want to call the court a bad name. Come to the case of, come to other cases, the other block of PDP. The who is said to be elected now as a National Secretary, there was a judgment of the court that declared him that his suspension was legal. If there was a court of judgment that declared him that the suspension from the party was legal, if that judgment is not set aside and you are not cleared as a member of the party, can you now be a national secretary of an officer of the party, of which you've been suspended? So these are all very well choreographed acts of each of the political parties, just
the opposition
of the opposition party,
right, let's
just to give a name to
back.
The
you seem to speak from the angle of the APC, because they sent out a statement yesterday by the National Secretary, Felix Smoker, and one line that he says that it is consistent with electoral policy and democratic practice, and this is a consequence of the ADC's reckless and desperate misadventure. That aligns with what you say. But while you spoke, I saw you, Mr. Reef, you were chuckling. Does it sound funny to you?
Well, when two political party people meet, they all give you their own perspective. My colleague, my friend, Dr. Chile, was talking of how things were, or what led to what happened. Yeah. And it was very wonderfully presented. But when Senator Enan came in, he also said his own thing. Now, looking at all those things, I think the media needs to play a critical role to be objective and not to take sides. And you can only achieve that when the law courts are allowed to adjudicate on the matters. I take very serious cognizance of the speech by the ADC, by Senator David Mack yesterday, that, oh, there is tyranny, oh, there is this, or there is that. No. I think if there's anybody that has benefited from democracy, I think they are the leaders of the ADC that have been de-recognized now. And they also know the importance of what it means to be law-abiding. Yeah. So I think if there is a will, you will always find a way around every other problem. But in a matter, in a situation where you box yourself to just one option, I think there's a problem. Okay. So my advice here more is for the media to really look at things critically and be objective. Because at the end of the day, politicians are politicians. They will sort themselves out.
All right, Honorable Chile, going by what Senator Enang has said, you talked about how process was followed, with the ADC law. The ADC law as well was also, followed. And going by him saying that it was all self-inflicted, how would you react to that statement from him?
Well, first, let me welcome my colleague, Senator Itaina. It's unfortunate that he missed the part that I presented. And it is clear that it has very little information about this subject. Now, I had laid the, short of going back to what I said, also to correct what you say that the ADC comprises people from PDP. That is not true. ADC has people from PDP, from Labour Party. If we don't recognize anybody, at least you can recognize Peter Obi. It has people from NMPP. If we can't recognize anybody, at least you can.
And I think what he said was from different political parties who were even responsible for bringing Nigeria to its knee now.
I say bringing
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Who were responsible for bringing their parties to their knees before they came to congregate in ADC. Right. Not Nigeria, sir.
Okay, so I agree with you on that, that they may have contributed. That is a matter for another day.
To their parties, not Nigeria.
So let me say this. It is not, in doubt that all Nigerian political parties are made up of many people coming, right? ADC now has many governors who were elected not on the platform of the ADC. They move because of their interests. So the constitution of the ADC by persons, there's nothing wrong with that. But I had laid it, and I'm not sure we have the time, but let me say that before ADC came, the coalition adopted ADC. We knew the court cases they had. Okay. We had a legal team, which I was member and secretary. We went to courts to find out the status of the cases. Then we also negotiated with the party, and one of the reasons why we adopted ADC was, it was one of the platforms that was willing to cooperate without asking for a price. Others say bring 30 billion and all that. And we knew they were not serious. ADC said, our party is not for sale. Our platform, we want to participate. And that is why, as we speak now, the, officials of the former ADC are still officials of the present NWC. Okay. The National Treasurer was the BOT chairman. Okay. The lady who is the youngest ever to be on an NWC of any party, Hawa, was a youth leader female.
Okay, Honorable, we'll just hold a little bit. Because of our viewers, we'll just apologize that Kakaaki socials will come in a little bit. I'm sure there are lots of you waiting for that, but we have to wrap things up very soon, and then Kakaaki social will come up on the other side of the hour. Okay.
So, let me clarify the issue. We have not self-inflicted anything. We have followed due process. There's nothing we have done without bringing INEC, where the law requires us to bring INEC. The poor process was done, and the culmination on the 29th of July was monitored by INEC. INEC has the reports that the process of takeover was fair. And I had clarified before that at the time they were taking over, Nephew was one of the deputy chairmen who had resigned. And if he denies resignation now, there was a motion to dissolve the NWC. That is a lawful act of the political party. And that motion was carried, and INEC was there monitoring it.
Your party, the ADC, says it will go ahead regardless to hold its Congress at the end of this month, the last week of this month. And we know that that's unsafe. It's dangerous for INEC not to witness your Congress.
I think what we should be looking at, is there any court injunction? We're in court. Do we have any court giving us injunction not to proceed? No.
But your leadership is also not recognized. So how?
Forget about that. If somebody from the street says, "I don't recognize you,"
I wouldn't. Okay.
Because look, the INEC is aware of what is going on. Okay. The case is before the court. INEC knows. The court has not said that INEC should recognize people. As a party, of course, they have not said that they recognize ADC because the constitutional provision for the recognizing parties is there. Now, if you have a leadership that is operational, which you monitored their, their emergence, and somebody, one person who was a former member goes, there are issues to sort out. Is he qualified to take the party to court, not being an official of the party?
Honorable,
or as one person?
When you say forget about that, when Chuk said your
and the senator was about to react.
It's not recognized.
No, I agree with you.
Do you mean that INEC's presence doesn't matter at your Congress?
I don't know if INEC has the power to reverse what the Electoral Act has said. The court can do that. If the court later makes a judgment, they can now issue orders and say, given that this matter has been done this way, you should allow ADC to conduct their Congress.
Senator Itainan?
Yeah, I want to say that I think it was a mistake from my colleague, Honorable Chile, to say that, forget about that. I think he made a mistake. Because if he says forget about that, Plateau State forgot about that, and they felt they are in the consequences now. Zamfara State forgot about that, and all of them were elected up to governor, and the court now set aside the entire process after election. And I believe that INEC is simply being careful, guided by the previous judgments of the court, that whenever there is an order of the court, and in this case there are two orders, one from the Federal High Court, the other one from the Court of Appeal, and they have examined the two orders and have come to the conclusion that they do not want to be caught in the web. And they say, we will not participate in your activities. And they are not in any manner denigrating any of the parties or groups or blocks, I want to say that I'm happy that my brother, my friend and my leader, Senator David Mark, whom I have great respect for, is involved in this. And I know that he has the mean and every capacity to bring it to bring some solution. But when he is in the midst of other persons who are not in the same spirit, who are desirous of fastest, who will act worst, fastest to destroy the situation, I simply pity him. Now the party, the APC, the ADC, I beg your pardon, should take some steps. First, to ask for accelerated hearing of all the cases in court.
Okay.
Accelerate so that they can decide whether or not they can participate in the next election. Because the next election has date set for primaries. Yeah. And they has date set for when you have to notify INEC of their primaries. Mm-hmm. And it has date set for how soon you are to deposit the register of your party with the Independent National Electoral Commission. And if you deposit a register of parties that does not contain names of, one, the members of your party now, two, those whom you want to field as candidates, they are in trouble. And this is why they are, in my opinion, fastest running to destroy their parties so that they can keep saying that, talking about President Tinubu, talking about APC.
And that's
we
the
will not
next
carry your
line
cross.
of action
Carry
we're
your
going
cross.
to. Senator,
and carry your cross straight.
That's the next line of action our conversation was tilted towards, because there is this school of thought, in fact, many school of thought aligning of connivance, that the ruling party, the presidency, as you introduced him to this conversation, and even others are responsible because all they want is a walk in the park when the 2027 elections come. So they are doing everything to make sure there is no viable opposition in the polls.
I want to say that the All Progressive Congress is very, very desirous that we should have viable political parties to contest against and to win. To contest against and to win. It is not in our interest, and will not be happy to contest against no political party and to have no contest. It wouldn't be sweet. That is why we are advising ADC, PDP, that look, they don't have a house. So it is not easy to even say, put your house in order, because they have deliberately taken off the roof of their house. They have definitely breaking down the foundation, and they will be discussing with their parties. They will be holding meetings of the party in the day, making show on television, and they will in the night be seeking coalition and to join APC.
ADC, are you houseless?
They will not. Sorry, they will not benefit from this kind of
I think that
by their part.
Okay, we're going to
He wants to respond to you.
Yes,
you said they are houseless.
Okay, we have
no
just a few
issues.
seconds.
We have no issues of house. And let me say that the APC may be interested in opposition. Their president is not. Tinubu has said on screen that I rejoice when troubles erupt in opposition parties. Is that a person who's interested in contest? But let me say that this issue he raised, and rightly so, we have already taken legal action to accelerate this. Even the Court of Appeal advised the Court of First Instance to accelerate the hearing. We're already taking those legal actions. But these are not legal actions, these are political actions. What we are saying, when I said forget about that, which you say was an error, I didn't say forget about the fact. All the states just mentioned, they acted against court orders. We are not acting against any court order. There are where you have a court order whose interpretation is difficult and controversial. The option is to go back to court to seek judicial interpretation. What I was saying, INEC knows that there are contending interpretations. They prepared a legal advice which we happen to have access to, and then the thing is go back to the court and get a judicial interpretation. What do you mean when you say go back to status quo antebellum? And then we'll be happy with that, because the court will make a pronouncement. Now, there is no court injunction in Nigeria or anywhere saying that ADC cannot proceed with what they're supposed to do.
Fantastic.
We have submitted everything to INEC that we are required to submit.
Right. So we've taken your final thought as far as this conversation is concerned. Let's now come to Simon Reeve. The senator right there says they have to consider accelerated hearing on their matters because it's a mistake on his part to say that doesn't make sense, involving INEC in their congresses. Let's now hear you. What tips and final words would you have for the ADC?
Well, I think for the ADC, my advice is not just for them to just adopt one option of accelerated hearing. No, they should be able to also have an alternative plan.
Okay.
There are several parties, and it does not mean that they that are at the front line must be the one to contest. They can simply support the party and all the candidates and then galvanize Nigerians for the polls.
Okay.
You see, in Nigeria, politics is all about striving to be elected so that you can serve yourself. There's not much in service for the people.
Okay.
But if they are able to get a party, whether ADC or not ADC, they support that same party and then make sure that they support somebody. We don't need these people that have been recycled and recycled.
All right.
Let's have somebody somewhere.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us this morning. We're talking to Simon Reeve, newspaper columnist, member Nigerian Guild of Editors. We also had Honorable Chile Ibawa, special advisor to David Mark, two-time member of House of Representatives, and Senator Ita Enang. Nigerian ambassador designate to South Africa. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us this morning.
Thank you. I've been blessed amongst men. I feel like I have a lot of security. And you have been blessed amongst women.
Thank you. We're blessed to be with you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll go on a short break right now, and it's time for us to bring you Kakaaki Social to stay with us.
Focus Nigeria. It's a huge task, but we take it on.
Ask him where is the law. National Assembly is not doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria. It is America that is doing hearing on insecurity in Nigeria.
Monday to Friday on Focus Nigeria, we identify the nagging issues.
Some people put people in poverty deliberately, deliberate misplacement of priorities, and brought people on their knees to suffer.
We seek answers to the tough challenges.
And because of for this the former president, yes. what I know is that he has not turned his membership card. Has not been attending your meeting.
Leave that to us to deal.
There's no shying away from the
The
issues.
system is held accountable. The leaders are accountable for the funds, for the resources that they manage.
No sitting on the fence.
The same thing that made you live where you are may confront you.
Focus Nigeria, 10 a.m., Monday to Friday on AIT. The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live. The issues as they break. The multitude, the political figures, the state and non-state actors.
It's a serious threat to democracy. And our government seem to be incapable of protecting
the scheming.
This is not a period we should say bow and go. Every part of this country is equal.
The intrigue.
There can be no one person that is bigger than the party.
Deft moves and the momentous declaration.
We didn't get any protection. I'm not particularly against anybody.
We track and capture them all.
I don't believe it, but for that reason, politics.
Follow in-depth analysis and no-holds-barred interviews.
Armed forces of the country is well capable. They need the political will.
Are they just waking up from sleep? Is there complacency?
Feel the pulse of happenings in the political arena on AIT Democracy Today. Widely acclaimed authority on politics. Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. Nigerian time.
Good Friday morning, a time for reflection, sacrifice, and hope as the Easter season begins. Welcome to Kakaaki Social. I am Chidera Ezdoyi. Now let's get right into it. Our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has expressed deep sorrow following the recent terror incident in Jos Plateau State, promising justice and support for victims and their families. Now, yesterday, the President Ahmed Bola Tinubu met with stakeholders and victims affected by this recent attack in Jos, and during this visit, the President acknowledged the pain and irreversible loss suffered by families, stating that no amount of money can replace the lives lost. However, he also assured that the federal government will provide necessary assistance and stand by those affected in this difficult time. In an emotional moment, the President also addressed one of the victims, Rhoda Favor, expressing sympathy over the loss of Ayuba, while admitting that words alone cannot heal such deep wounds. Reaffirming his administration's commitment to justice, the President vowed that those responsible for this attack will be identified and brought to justice, describing the incident as a dastardly That's the act. As a bad act, that is what he meant. A typo error there. Now, let us see what netizens are saying concerning what the president did yesterday and all of that. In my reactions, God's Time is saying, sir, we appreciate you visiting just today, but many of us here in Plateau State are exhausted. No amount of we will do our best or we feel your pain brings back Ayuba or the dozens slaughtered in Agua-Grukuba. We've heard we will find the perpetrators too many times. While the killings continue week after week, lives are cheap in the North Central, insecurity has become normal, and ordinary people like us see no serious change in protection or justice. Promises and visits comfort the cameras more than widows and orphans left behind. We need real action, not more words. When will the blood actually stop? Hashtag Plateau bleeding, hashtag enough is enough. And Farida is saying a government unable to protect its citizens deserves to be queried. Now, this is a tweet the president made in April 14th, 2014, where he said, "My heart bleeds for our people and the country over the death in Yanyan. A government unable to protect its citizens deserves to be queried." And Farida is quoting him now. Now, let us continue. Now, in another story, in a move aimed at tackling the rising insecurity, the Plateau State governor has revealed that the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has given approval for the recruitment of 1,000 forest guards. According to the governor, this initiative is part of broader efforts by the federal government to secure forest areas often exploited by criminal elements for attacks and hideouts, and also 5,000 camera networks approved by the president. Let's take a look at this video.
Thank you, Boso Tijani, the Honorable Minister, for communication. Is here to give you assurance we are going to install immediately a network of cameras that will help the law enforcement agencies to identify the troublemakers instantly.
Okay, so that video was trending yesterday and netizens have been reacting. And Ife is saying, why not do the needful? Stop repentant terrorists camping and shooting them immediately. We know the camera wouldn't do it. Now, the terrorists will keep operating a few kilometers from armed barracks, yet no army on site. Let us continue. Bulus is saying, does this make any sense? Is the camera going to avert any attack? Are the attackers out of reach? After every attack, have you apprehended them and let justice judge them? How many of the attackers received presidential pardon under your watch? How many have been in the army? In the same line, Kuti is saying, what happened to satellite and drones? We need to improve on our technology and our security. And the final reaction, Mr. Ayan says, waste of money with a disappointment emoji. Their daily videos posted on social media show their faces and locations, yet no security agency track on them. Fixing cameras will not help, but rather a waste. Okay, now let us continue. We have another reaction in the same line. Okay, that is that. The African Democratic Congress has demanded the sack of the INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amupito, accusing the electoral body of actions that threaten Nigeria's democratic structure. In a statement released by the party, ADC alleged that recent developments within the electoral system point to a deliberate attempt to weaken opposition parties and consolidate power in favor of a single political bloc. Let's see this video.
This INEC has left no one in doubt that it has chosen the path of dishonor and has become complicit in undermining Nigerian democracy. It therefore can no longer be trusted. We demand the immediate resignation or sack of the INEC chairman, Professor Amopita, and all his national commissioners. We no longer have confidence in them. We are convinced that they are incapable of conducting any credible election.
Netizens are saying, because this has been trending since yesterday, even on Kakaaki this morning was a topic. Now, Chido Biago is saying, absolutely, if there's credible evidence that the INEC chairman is undermining democracy and steering us towards a one-party system, accountability is non-negotiable. Sack him now before trust in our election is lost. And in the same line, Dave says, ADC's call to sack the INEC chair shows growing political tension ahead of 2027. Leadership fights, court battles, and protests show how fragile Nigeria's party politics are right now. I must say that the electoral system is corrupt, allegedly. Now, Toby Fadji is saying the deeper problem isn't one man. It is a system where the president still appoints the independent electoral umpire. Until that structural flaw is fixed, every election will feel like a coronation dressed up as democracy. Now, ADC is calling it out publicly, and it is necessary, but the real test is whether they turn this into sustained legal and public pressure instead of another trending press conference. Nigerians are watching. And let us continue. Favor Joseph is saying, if he is sacked, who appoints the next one? Is it still not the presidency? Nigeria's electoral system needs a total reform. Presidents appoint a very sensitive position such as this, and you expect them to work without bias? A very legit question. Now, let us continue. We have one more reaction in the same line, who is saying almost the same thing, just something a bit different. Okay, now the ex-president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, has advocated for urgent reforms in Nigeria's electoral process, emphasizing the need for a more efficient and credible system for resolving election-related cases. Now, speaking on the state of the nation's democracy, Jonathan urged the National Assembly to consider setting up a constitutional court dedicated solely to handling election disputes. According to him, the current system places a heavy burden on regular courts, often leading to delays and prolonged legal battles that can undermine public trust in election outcomes. Okay, now let's go to the space of X and see what netizens are saying concerning this. J-Chief is saying, this will not solve any problem. The previous reaction, this will not solve any problem. Nigeria needs a reset button. If the rule of law is not supreme and free, fair, and seen to be credible, elections conducted, everything else is a joke. And continuing in the same line, Ndubisi says, this is a good idea on paper, but implementation is the real test. Will the National Assembly actually act, or will it be another proposal on the shelf? Let us continue. Another reaction in the same line by Mikel is saying, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan is talking about frameworks, but the people are talking about fairness. Whether it is a new court or the old one, if the system is rigged from the polling units, the courtroom will just be like a theater. One more reaction from Denny, who is saying, finally, this is what Nigeria needs. Or this is what Nigeria needed ages ago. A dedicated constitutional court for elections would stop the endless legal circles and give voters true confidence in the process. Hashtag electoral reform, hashtag Nigeria politics. One more reaction in the same line. MOJ is saying, why didn't he do it when he was the president? It's always easier to criticize when you are not in position, but when you were there, we know what you did, do we? And moving on, in a move to promote discipline and professionalism within the force, AIG Ahiriko has advised the people to continue has instructed police officers under the command to always pay for transportation when boarding commercial vehicles. He stressed that no officer is permitted to intimidate or coerce the drivers into offering free rides, describing such behavior as an abuse of power and a violation of ethical standards. The AIG noted that this directive is part of broader efforts to rebuild public trust and improve the relationship between the police and members of the public. He also warned that any office found flouting the order would face strict disciplinary actions, emphasizing that accountability remains top priority within the command. Let's see what netizens are saying concerning this. And Noya is saying a commendable move. Respect for the law should start with those enforcing it. And continuing, Gold Coast is saying the fact that a senior officer had to issue this as a directive shows how normalized entitlement had become. In continuing, official dream is saying uniformed men deserve some respect, some privileges, despite the fact that they are being paid salary. Go to other countries we so desperately want to be like and see how things are done there. And note, the presence of staff on buses saves these drivers from touts. And Omotayo says, great speech at Obalende, but will it change the reality on ground? We've heard these promises before, but seeing an AIG tell drivers to report directly to him is bold. Let's see if downfall drivers actually get paid tomorrow morning. Accountability is everything. And finally, let us see what is happening. Now, Aliko Dangote along the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and state governors have pledged a total of 30.5 billion naira in support of the First Lady's Food Bank initiative. The multi-billion naira pledge is aimed at boosting the food bank program championed by Nigeria's First Lady, designed to address hunger and support vulnerable households across the country. Now, this initiative is expected to provide relief materials and food supplies to millions of Nigerians grappling with rising living costs and economic challenges. Unfortunately, this is where we end the segment. It has been an absolute pleasure. And don't forget to have fun this weekend. We know it is Easter. We are celebrating the death and resurrection of Christ, but have fun. Now, you can reach us via the social media handles displayed on the screen. My name is Chidera Ezudoye. Happy Easter celebration.
Kakaaki, now available in crayfish. Kakaaki, unwrap joy, unleash taste.
My baba, they always say, for market, every day get your own wahala. Sometimes people go on scam you. But Baba say, no be by gra. You must cool down, dey sharp. Because with OPay payment, your money go enter sharp, no story. But inside market, anything fit happen. One day, we no see phone again. My baba remember OPay USSD lock, dial *955*131#. Baba press am, lock account. From market woman to driver, from small boy to big man. Now OPay, they protect people like us. My baba fit sell, press phone, collect POS, and still they teach me price. And when they don't tire am, go just tap OPay night guard. We no fear for this our hustle life. Now OPay be the people payment shield.
Football lovers, movie lovers, family entertainment fans, get ready for something big because StarTimes is giving you Over Jara. For a limited time, when you recharge for 2 months, you get upgraded to the next bouquet free. That's more sports, more movies, more kids shows, more entertainment at no extra cost. Over Jara. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT. On air, online, on live.
Focus, Nigeria. It's a huge task, but we take it on.
I think that is the law. National Assembly is not...
Welcome back to the show. You're still watching Kakaaki, the African Voice on AIT. And now it's time for us to get into our second interview of the day on Japa syndrome, pros and cons. But first off, here's our report. Here's a report by our colleague. We'll be back. Do stay with us.
From bustling airports in Lagos,
to visa centers in Abuja. The dream of traveling abroad has become a defining aspiration for many Nigerian youths. Every year, thousands of graduates and skilled professionals apply for study, work, and permanent residence opportunities in countries across Europe, North America, and the Middle East. For many, the motivation is simple: the search for better jobs, stable economies, and improved living conditions.
Nigeria is becoming difficult every day by day. Like, so many things, food, transportations, like many things. So if I have that opportunity, yes, sir, I'll leave.
I think the government has not done well for the country. When you talk about insecurity, it's on the high rise. Every time you hear one attack here, one attack there, and it seems as though the governors or the government or the president himself is not really or are not really doing what they ought to do for the country. So people don't feel safe. They don't feel as though they are getting the dividends of democracy. So I think that is the reason why people are leaving.
According to labor analysts, Nigeria loses thousands of skilled workers every year, particularly in sectors like healthcare, technology, and engineering. The healthcare sector is one of the hardest hits. Reports indicate that many Nigerian doctors and nurses relocate abroad annually in search of better working conditions and higher wages.
Similar doctor in the UK, in Canada, in Saudi Arabia, in the US, live in the best of places. All they need to do is to write the exams, pass it. And you know, Nigerian doctors, Nigerian healthcare workers are very intelligent. Yeah. They just work hard, read, and then they move. So that is one of the reasons they are leaving. You know, the poor remuneration from the country.
While migration can improve the lives of individuals and their families, economists say the long-term impact on the country can be complex. Despite the opportunities abroad, some experts believe the solution lies in creating more jobs, improving infrastructure, and strengthening governance at home.
As of today, this year, the amount of the percentage of health budget is still less than 7%. I think it's about 6%. And the recommendation since the year 2000, was 15% of total budget. Before now, maybe 4.5, 5.2, and all. So government should try to beef up and try to achieve the 15% of the total budget for health.
Businesses are no longer striving because of the inflation, the tax rate, and all. So all these things need to be put in check. And I think when that is done, they will stand a chance of doing something better for us, yeah.
For many young Nigerians, however, the dream remains the same: a chance at a better future. As Nigeria continues to grapple with youth unemployment and economic challenges, the question remains: will the Nigerian dream be built at home or abroad? Migration remains a personal choice for many Nigerians, but experts say the future of the country depends largely on creating opportunities that will encourage young people to stay and contribute to national development. Anyole Avotu, AIT News, Abuja.
All right, so that was a report there by our colleague, and we're getting right into the conversation. We have Dr. Henry Ewunonu, public health advocate, joining us here in the studio. Good morning, Dr. Henry.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Happy Good Friday, Nigerians.
Oh, indeed.
Same to you as well.
Yes.
Yes. And we also have Dr. Dennis Ikorogie, mental health specialist, joining us virtually. Good morning, Dr. Dennis. All right, Dr. Dennis, please unmute your mic so we can hear you clearly.
Yeah, sorry about that.
All right.
Good morning, Nigerians, and it's a pleasure joining your program, and a happy Good Friday.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, let's start off with Dr. Henry here. Migration is something that has existed for so long. Yes. Human beings, move from one place to the other. It's nothing new. But why does it appear to be such a big deal in Nigeria?
Thank you once again for having me. Migration is part of human history. One of the characteristics of living beings, right from elementary science level, is motility, movement. So animals move, human beings move, trained health professionals move. In this country, some time ago, it was a policy of government to have a 1-year compulsory training abroad for resident doctors. Before they become consultants, they go abroad and spend 1 year. It used to be a government policy. But the challenge now is that it is unmitigated, it is unplanned, it is poorly managed. To the extent that we are exporting what we lack, they go out there in droves. We are not matching that with the rate of production and proper utilization, so the health sector suffers. Patients wait for long hours. That limits access to quality health care and so many other challenges. Finally, the ultimate is health outcomes. Lack of or rapid loss of trained health workforce is impacting on our health outcomes. That's why it's a problem.
All right, let's come to you, Dr. Akerodie, on joining us virtually. We want to know what you make of these numbers that are trickling out of Nigeria, mass exodus. We look at the data from the Nigeria Immigration Service Leaders data. It says that 3.6 million left Nigeria only in 1 year, 2022 to 2023. That's 1 year only. And their age is between 18 and 35. People would argue that that's the workforce of a country leaving. So what do you make of this? Why do you think Nigerians leave that much?
Oh, yes, thank you very much. There are a lot of factors, push factors, responsible for Nigerians, leaving the shores of the country to seek, greener pastures. Part of economic reasons, people want where they are not. And so where they are safe, better economic package, better living standard, they need better health care. These are some of the reasons, why people, want to leave, Nigeria to seek, greener pastures and, better conditions of living. So these are the reasons.
Okay. All right. Since we're with you, Dr. Dennis, you are outside of Nigeria. So why did you decide to leave Nigeria?
Yes, thank you. I decided to leave Nigeria because of family, reunion. I have part of my family living here, which is part of also why people leave. People leave for, for marriage, for family reunification. If you have your brothers, your sisters, your siblings, living here, you want to join them. So some other Nigerians, they live, in search of better condition of service, like your, guests there, they say that people need better remuneration. Doctors need better pay. In Nigeria, for instance, what is the budget for healthcare? Is low. They are being paid, below what other professionals, receive outside, Nigeria. And most of the developed countries, they're in search of the workforce, which Nigeria have, from engineers, doctors, lawyers. From the preview of your videos, Nigerians are smart. They can sit for the exams, pass the exams, and just move over, to Canada, USA, and become professionals there. So if the minimum wage, for instance, is, for instance, in Nigeria now is $70,000. What is the purchasing power, of 70,000 naira, to the average Nigeria, considering other factors, socio-economic factors like electricity, paying for electricity, food, transportation. So what will be the disposable income after you've taken out all these expenses? You notice that from your pay, your take-home pay, will be reduced. So people want to move because of economic reasons. People, also move because of security issues. Nigeria is insecure. They can no longer stay in a country where it's safe.
Okay.
So these are the reasons, why people moved. Mine is based on family reunion,
All right.
to unite with my family.
Okay, we come back here in the studio. You were smiling all through his reaction. Why is that so? You heard the reasons he gave for jackpying. What's your reason for staying back, though?
You can see from even on television, his skin looks more luxuriant than mine. However, you see, I will use two practical examples that are life situations. First, some time ago in the past, during the first term, the military administration of General Buhari, that administration with Idiagbo had problems with Nigerian Medical Association, and doctors were sacked. Many doctors left in droves to the Gulf states, especially Saudi Arabia. Upon their return, because it was contract appointment, some of them that came back came with brand new cars. The last time, the federal government, I learned, gave car loan to its health workers. It was like in the 70s. So in the 80s, 83, about that 83, 84, they came back with brand new cars. So the doctors that left back here to swallow all the humiliations, their eyes opened and they said, can this happen? That was the first time people started seeing remote-controlled cars. So they started thinking about their lives. Of course, their wives will remind them, what are you still doing here? Their kinsmen will say, did they tie you umbilical cord to this seat? Secondly, when National Hospital Abuja started, I'm not speaking for National Hospital, this is a story by the side. It was difficult to get consultants from National Hospital to go and do private practice in clinics around. The clinics around that time, I was working in one of the clinics and we will approach the doctors in National Hospital to say, come and help us review cases, come and operate. They said no, because up to 8 p.m., 9 p.m., they were in the offices reading. Very beautiful environment, clean environment, air conditioners, working, everything. They were accommodated in one estate in my time called Nabil Court. Nigerians can go and verify. Then President Obasanjo's time came and they started this monetization program. And they said housing allowance or whatever housing should be monetized. They couldn't pay. Their housing allowance could not pay, was not up to 10% of the rent at Nabil Court. The landlord said, go and find a way now. The people that will live here, whatever they are doing, go and do. So that was how, for instance, doctors in this city, senior doctors started doing PP, started owning private health facilities. Yeah. The big schools, elementary school, primary school, secondary school in Abuja, how many doctors can send their children, can sponsor their children to the big secondary schools in Abuja? In Asokoro, in Guzape, around you, how many doctors can afford 2-bedroom flats, no matter your level? So when these our brothers from diaspora come in, they come here to come and buy buildings.
So your point is?
And we become their tenants. So you keep on asking yourself, what am I still doing here?
Right.
And to add salt to the injury, you hear people come on in the media and said, oh, the good ones have left. That means the dullards that are still left here. So every day, and you know that the people out there, they are not better than you. Some of them are actually academic inferiors. Yes, I know. Because in my time, the people that used to run away quickly, people who couldn't pass primaries, there are people who couldn't secure residency positions. But today, They come here.
So what's the destination of your point? You've given us analysis.
Yes, analysis is pay. Empty pocket does not obey patriotism. They say, oh, it's your country. Stay here. Let's salvage it together.
But you're still here, which is the question we asked you.
That is every day I keep on asking myself, what is still keeping me here?
Oh, you're wondering as well?
Yes, it has come to that point.
Okay.
What kept me here?
Before we go back to Dr. Dennis and why you're here, there have been, a lot of issues with the medical sector in trying to keep back its professionals, be it doctors, be it nurses, making policies to make them say, okay, you have to work a certain number of years, before your licenses and all of that. How would you address that? Is that like a good step?
They call
apart
it
from
bonding,
the money?
Return to service type of agreement.
Yeah.
Well, it has worked some other places where the public played serious role, substantial role in producing this profession.
Okay.
Be you doctor, nurse, lab scientist, pharmacist. This bonding is before I enter medical school. While I'm in medical school, for instance, the Nelfon scheme, I don't know whether that bonding is part of the agreement. They sign. After my graduation, I'll put in how many years in public service before I can then be let off the hook. You will find it, you will be so disappointed to find out that this person that now wants to work in a government hospital, will he be employed?
Okay.
Do you know how many doctors that are nurses and pharmacists that are roaming around in Abuja, carrying CVs, trying to get employed? What of the ones that are dying and are living? Are they being replaced? Go and interview chief executive of public health facilities. They say we are seeking waiver from the office of the head of service or the relevant offices.
Are you aggrieved?
I am. Because the ones that are living, you are not even... Yes, the government, as a response to this unmitigated migration, has launched a document that said a national policy on health workforce migration. But you know that our country is reputed as number one for never implementing for poor implementation of laws, policies, frameworks, and so on. The policy is there.
Okay.
Replace the ones that are left.
Okay, we'll come back to you.
Okay. Then create vacancies.
All right, we'll hear you. Let's go back to our guests who joined us virtually. You are in the United States, as we know, and we understand that conversations going around there is President Donald Trump's anti-migration policy. With that, and we also know of ICE as well, the issues around bed rights. This morning we read on the news, even yesterday, that judges have taken him to court to say that bed rights is bed rights, whether you legally migrated or not. But Donald Trump will not have that. So would you still say that this should be the case, mass exodus of Nigerians? And yes, and that's even because that U.S. is the second country that Nigerians like to live to a lot, UK being the first one.
Yes, thank you. Regarding Trump's immigration policy, I think Trump is against those who come to the U.S. illegally, and those who are here legally, they have their rights to pursue their case in court by virtue of naturalization or by birth. And I believe, the courts will rule in their favor because the U.S. is built on immigration laws, and most of things happening here in the U.S., immigrants, build the United States. Even Donald Trump himself, his parents, they migrated to the U.S. And like I said, so many Nigerians are here legally, and they can stay because the law protects them. I believe Trump is actually, against those who came here for visits, and they decided to stay back. They don't have the documents, to stay back in the U.S. So those are the people the law is going to catch up with. And again, I also believe the fact that the people make U.S., as their choice, of destination because the U.S. economy is strong. You also mentioned the U.K. These are the two strong economies, and the world economic is being moved by the dollar and the pound. People naturally they want to move to the U.S. and the U.K. To seek greener pastures because these are the two most advanced countries in the world. So I believe that is why most Nigerians target the U.S. and the U.K. And getting the visas to this country, is increasingly difficult because they know their immigration policy and immigration laws, and they don't just want to allow, mass exodus of Nigerians, into their countries. They seek, professionals, people that can add value, to their system. They need doctors, engineers, professionals that can add value, to the economy. So I believe that is why people make, the United States a destined, country for migration, and also the UK, because they have two strong currencies, the dollars and the pounds, and for them to repatriate their funds back to Nigeria, people make America and the UK their prime destination.
Okay. Still sticking with you now. We hear it's a mix of success and also not so much of a success for people, in different countries apart from Nigeria. So can you give us an insight into what it is like in terms of those who have migrated to different parts, looking at the U.S.?
Thank you very much. I believe those majority of those, who have migrated to the U.S., they have a success story because they come here and they try to upgrade themselves. People, Nigerians in the U.S., they are very hardworking people, and Nigeria population, they are the most educated group of immigrants in the U.S. Virtually like 70% of Nigerians in the U.S. they have a basic bachelor's degree, and so many Nigerians here in the U.S. they've gone ahead to further their studies, so now having masters and PhD. So maybe after the Asians like the Chinese. The next set of immigrants, we talked about in the U.S. are Nigerians. Nigerians, they are topping that chart. Most people, they've gone ahead, to have their masters and their PhD, and they are earning, greatly. And again, I can say the Nigerian brain drain, can become a brain gain, if the Nigerian political leadership, can put their hearts together. There are a lot of persons, willing to come back home, but they just need better security.
Okay.
They need better infrastructures, good roads and what have you.
Okay.
A lot of Nigerians, they are willing to come back, to contribute their quarters. So the brain drain can become a brain gain if, the Nigerian government, can put their hands together. A lot of us, we are willing to come back to contribute our quota to the development of Nigeria if only there are certain infrastructures,
we have to thank you,
that will be
Dr.
put in
Dennis
place.
Ikoroge. Dr. Dennis Ikoroge is a New York-based Nigerian mental health management expert. Thank you for your insight into this conversation, and do enjoy your weather right there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we also like to thank our guest here in the studio, Dr. Henry Ewunonu, who is an Abuja-based health rights activist. He joined us to look at the Japa syndrome pros and cons that we need to understand. Thank you.
I
and
wish
you have
I
a
had
good day.
Opportunity of parting shots.
Unfortunately,
thank you. Because
we
of
do
time.
not have.
Because of time.
Maybe another time.
Tell them to stay healthy.
Okay.
It's no longer funny to fall sick and come to us.
Okay. All right. So we're bringing you entertainment right about now. Do stay with us.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment and Lifestyle on Kakaaki, the African Voice. I am Chidera Izudoye. Nigerian music star Omale is making headlines after boldly crowning himself the greatest Nigerian musician of the last 2 decades. The so-so hitmaker stirred conversations across social media after stating that, in his opinion, no other artist in Nigeria has matched his level of artistry in the past 20 years except him. According to Omale, Grammy-winning superstar Burna Boy is the only artist who comes close to his standards. The statement has since sparked mixed reactions among fans and industry watchers, with many debating his claim, while others point to long-standing heavyweights in the game. Names like Wizkid and Davido have also resurfaced in the conversation as fans weigh in on who truly deserves the crown. While some supporters applaud Omale's confidence and unique sound, critics argue that his career, though impactful, is still relatively young compared to industry veterans. Love it or not, bold claims like this keep Afrobeat conversations buzzing and once again prove that Nigerian music scene is as competitive as ever. Nigerian rapper Dremo has spoken about his decision to part ways with Davido Music Worldwide, widely known as DMW. The Ojoro crooner revealed that his exit from the Davido Music Worldwide was a personal and strategic move aimed at growth and independence in his music career. According to Dremo, the decision wasn't fueled by conflict, but rather a desire to explore new opportunities and redefine his sound beyond the label structure. DMW, founded by Afrobeat superstar Davido, has been home to several hitmakers and has played a major role in shaping Dremo's career over the years. Fans have since reacted with mixed emotions, while some applaud his bold step towards independence. Others express nostalgia for the era of Dremo under the DMW umbrella. As the rapper embarks on this new chapter, all eyes are now on what he delivers next as a solo force in the industry.
So that was entertainment and lifestyle there. And this is where we have to close the curtains on the show for today and the week. I am Chukuyelum Onwaka.
And I am Onoshorena Obozege. Thank you so much for doing today and your week with us on Kakaaki, the African Voice. Enjoy your holidays. Bye.
Storytelling, social impact dialogue, thought-provoking documentaries, town halls that lean on data and research. We raise the bar.
My name is Adora Sydney Jack, and this is Gender Agenda.
Gender Agenda. Women rising.
Hello and welcome to Health Digest, the program that brings to you news, analysis, development, and everything that concerns your well-being. I'm Ogom Ezedibo. So the measles and rubella vaccine we're talking about now, is it different from the normal measles that children get at 9 months?
Yes, it adds another antigen. So the measles component is the same as the measles vaccine, but rubella is another disease that is similar to measles, but is unique in that it's very costly if it affects a pregnant woman.
A lot of Nigerians are unaware that these services are actually there.
Okay, first off, I think there are a couple of reasons why a lot of Nigerians are not aware. First is the issue of trust deficits. Nigerians are so self-absorbed in solving their problems on their own.